You shouldn't have asked.
You really shouldn't have.
I can
I
hear the
didn't ask,
processing.
technically speaking. I didn't ask. I didn't even give an
Oh,
interrogative of any form.
you may not have asked, but you sure got
Sneaky,
an answer.
Sneaky, the Bible section has grown from a measly 200, however many fucking years ago we looked at it, to 4.2 thousand.
Oh,
Why?
And
That's
Why?
some
yet,
growth.
and
That's some
yet,
growth, yo.
the
there
Bible
still
fandom is
doesn't
growing.
appear to be, there's still, oh god, there still is no section for the Quran. I don't think this is fair to the Islamic community.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well,
I
Allegedly.
mean, that's
sneaky.
because they're insecure in their faith, but, who am I to
Isn't
judge
that
that,
just
right?
two birds with one stone? Or well, two gays with one stone in this case. True.
No, Sneaky, it's not one roof, it's one rock.
So,
Depends.
do you guys know that game called, Naraka? It's that, battle arena with melee combat?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
I've
Yeah,
heard of it?
they just dropped a Bruce Lee character.
that's great.
Like, it's actually just Bruce Lee.
It's very cool.
No, I'm trying to figure out who the fuck sold his likeness for this.
it's actually in the summary of the game now. Oh, on Steam. Jesus Christ.
Wait, when did they
Bruce
turn their
Lee
reviews?
and
When
his
did they?
iconic nunchucks now have joined Naraka Blade Point, the up to 60-player PvP mythical action combat.
Yeah. When did they? When did they manage to reverse their reviews? It used to be like mixed. It was literally right on the point of being negative. When did that change?
Yeah.
It really is. They have 9,000.
Oh my god. Well. Here you go, guys. Here's
Oh, oh.
today's first story,
Oh,
maybe.
they have 71,000. Jesus Christ.
On the character creator, there is a dude that is just 2 steps away from being Kratos, and the character name is Krat.
Hmm. Well, that's
Hey, yo, sometimes theft is the best.
I mean, it is a Chinese game, isn't it?
It
Think?
better be.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Naraka is Chinese. Uh,
Uh,
Generally speaking, two wrongs do not make a right.
well, generally speaking, but when it involves the Chinese.
No, I would still say no. Like, listen. I mean, that's
no, we
true.
have because we're foreigners. Don't forget
Hey, Netflix, I'm
don't
still
forget,
never going to watch
standards
our
become a
case.
thing the moment you're not a Chinese citizen over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Listen, listen, if
human
they can
rights aren't a
successfully
thing
pull a
there at all.
Spaceballs, power to them. 'em, I'll be impressed. Oh,
You
no.
assume it's
Alright,
executing
lay
them?
it on me.
Which thing?
Mhm.
Ah, yeah, that.
Okay. Is there a downside for these YouTubers? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I
Ouch.
mean, well, that's still more than us.
Yeah. You're being sent to the glorious Black Dolphin prison. Please do not resist. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Uh, yeah, probably. I just found it again. It is heresy, probably. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is familiar to me as well, I think. Though I might be thinking about some other Bible crossovers I've seen.
Yes, I
Like
too also think
the
about
fucking...
Bible crossovers all the time. Hello,
I
Internet!
don't.
This is Sneaky
Bro.
Devil, and it's
Tax
time for
assassination.
Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9004. I got a whole bottle of Grey Goose right next to me, so let's get started.
Cheers, bro. I'll drink that.
Yes. So, Arn linked this story.
Yep.
It's a Bible Pokemon crossover
So y'all can blame him for this.
called The Pokemon
yeah,
Creation
you can.
Story Mew Christ Great Mission.
Yeah. That is
Uh,
In the beginning, Arceus...
oh, I don't like the summary.
Personally, I'm also
Too
a
bad.
Mewist, in case anyone was wondering.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
What
I'm a
happened to
Mewist.
Helix?
No, Mewism versus Arceusism. Basically, the...
Oh, who came before?
Who
that
came
thing?
first, yeah.
Yeah.
Mewism holds that Mew came first and created Arceus because Mew contains the DNA of every Pokemon, including all of the Pokemon gods.
Oh, yeah.
Which
As far as I'm
makes...
aware, that entry has never changed.
Yeah, which makes me say, okay, well, Mew's just a lazy ass who's like, alright, lazy, boom, I've created lower management. Lower management, get to work.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Mew's first miracle was to delegate.
Yo, hey, listen.
Thus, on the first day, God did create other people to do the rest.
Hey, wait a minute, listen. Delegation is a sign of effective management and trust in your support. Think about the trust that Mew implicitly gave Arceus. Make the world.
And
That's
got
some
let
faith
down
in your
by...
employees. That's some faith in your employees, yo.
And
Oh,
then
sure,
Bitch got
but if
captured
we...
by a Pokeball.
Sure, but if we start taking Pokédex entries literally, Arceus is kind of fucked up making some of the things we get from Psychic Pokemon, everything with the Ghost Pokemon,
Oh,
and a few of the
absolutely.
a few
Yeah.
of the legendaries too.
Okay, but
Absolutely.
like, that's like, okay, so he messed up a couple of the little details. Like, if I was the project manager, I'd be like, you know what? Overall, this is a very solid effort. I have some critiques for the next go round.
I'm
But
sorry.
overall, I'm
It's
quite
Some
pleased.
critiques.
You said the project manager, and my brain just immediately went to, yes, Earth, the Pokemon Project's world.
Stinky, listen. Like, no, listen. We'll sit down just right. We're gonna sit Arceus down for the year-end review. We are collectively Mew, so we'll just sit Arceus down for the year-end review.
Oh, it's
Right?
just fucking, okay, so Diamond. It is described in mythology as the Pokemon that has shaped the universe with 1,000 arms. Ah, yeah, man, this guy got arms. Damn, Arceus got hands.
I mean, how else is it supposed to make the universe?
How much
if he
more
ain't got
threatening
hands?
does that make it when Arceus says he's gonna throw hands?
Very. 1,000 times.
Your
possibly.
face when the monk who's just been meditating for 50 years says he's about to throw hands.
The monk when he goes Hunter x Hunter.
Okay, so, yeah, we got this. This Pokemon came from an egg.
Yeah.
It came from an egg. 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 Yeah, that's literally his lore across the board. He came from an egg, and then hatched, and then shaped the world. So all I can say is, someone made that egg, and I think that someone's Mew.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Cause goddamn, only designed evolution could ever create something this fucking ugly.
I mean, that's rude. You're not wrong, but you are rude.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Oh,
I mean,
fucking
like,
hell, what was
who the fuck decided that God needed to be a brony or pony? Like, bruh.
Well, to be fair, God was originally a small, tiny mammal. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, but still, like, come on.
God can be a mouse.
Sure.
all right, whatever you say, Mister. I like.
I also like the idea of just canonically in Sinnoh, the 16 fragments of God are just chilling.
Yeah. Straight chillin'.
I don't know if I want to hear or see this story based on the author's note and the
Yeah.
summary. And
You sure?
Yeah, listen, this might be the first instance of me abusing mod power
Yeah.
to remove Arn from this server permanently.
That's a bit overboard, isn't it? Should have
I don't know,
spawned
man.
heresy.
Like, listen, I've not had a very good week and a half. This might be the straw.
Well,
Mm,
I mean,
tasty.
blame Sneaky. He's the one reading it.
Have you ever considered alcohol?
Listen,
True.
here's the thing. Sneaky will always be sneaky.
This is true.
I appreciate
I'm not mad at
what
Sneaky
this
for holding
author
the gun.
puts in
I'm mad at
parentheses.
you for giving him the gun, knowing how he is.
Here,
I mean, to be
child,
fair-
go commit
Yeah.
the crime.
I didn't pull the trigger.
But you gave him the loaded gun.
I mean, yeah, but I still didn't pull the trigger.
What am I, Alec Baldwin now?
Apparently. And am I like the trigger or something? Nope. Wasn't me. Considering
The
how often Sneaky
Pokemon
just like
creation
ignores my
story.
suggestions anyway.
In the beginning, Arceus created the heavens and the earth, written by an actual Christian Pokemon fan who studied the Bible, so it's very legit. In my Bible class, for a final project, we are making a presentation that shows what we learned about Jesus. So, to do that, I wrote a Pokemon story.
Wait. Oh god, he's writing a Pokemon story, probably at a college that demonized Pokemon for witchcraft.
Yeah, I think that's
well,
the
no, it
funniest
says
part about this whole
Bible
thing.
class. So I'm thinking Christian high school.
Yeah, well, either way, they're probably stuck with a teacher who was all on the hype train about Pokemon teaching kids witchcraft.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, this is 2013.
It definitely
so...
does.
So,
Probably not.
Did you know that there was
parentheses.
someone...
I'm Christian.
There's a book my dad used to have back at our old house. I shit you not. It was a dissertation and breakdown of why Looney Tunes was satanic. I never understood why he had it.
Okay, look. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a hot take. It's like a lukewarm take.
Mhm.
The trolling.
The right is as bad as the progressives when you allow them to be when it comes to their various
Well,
religions.
surely.
Yeah.
I'm not. Here's the thing. What
'Cause
confused me about the book was
everything
that
was
my
fucking
parents.
satanic. Like I remember
Yeah.
the 90s and 2000s. Everything was
gosh.
satanic.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes,
the only
I
things
remember.
that weren't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, like, listen, right? There's some stuff where I was like, all right, fine, right? People are mad about GTA. All right, GTA's a upsetting and disturbing piece of subject material, right? Like, fine, fair enough.
Made so intentionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it isn't, but like,
Yeah.
again, just because
I'm
someone
giving a
makes something
qualifying
cringe,
statement.
just because someone makes something cringe doesn't necessarily mean people aren't going to hate it for being cringe.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, they're trying to provoke the reaction.
Yeah. It's everything got labeled as satanic though. Stuff that
Yeah.
wasn't even remotely satanic got labeled as satanic. Stuff that was like, all right, fine.
Yeah, but well,
it's a
Sneaky,
little weird.
the thing is, like, if you boil it down, to the bare principles. Progressivism is just the left's religion.
I mean, yeah, that's what
Like-
I was kind of saying. Is it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the most confusing about the book, though,
yeah.
my dad and mom raised me on Looney Tunes and MASH and Pinky the Brain and all that, so it was very confusing.
Maybe they thought you were the devil.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like the only reason
Because-
the only reason I got to keep my first copy of Pokemon, which is Pokemon Yellow,
Yeah.
because it was a gift from my aunt,
Mm-hmm.
who is a much more devout Christian than my dad.
Right.
So if she thought it was okay, my mom was like, "No, my sister sent this. She clearly thinks it won't do anything bad to him. We'll leave him alone."
You see, that's where I was like, okay, look, Pokemon's weird, but you can't say it's satanic. You can't say it's gonna drive kids to witchcraft or to be atheists. It's literally just dog fighting. Like, come on, we've been doing that for literally thousands of years, and we're still
Yeah.
religious.
It's not great. Like, if you're going to object to it on the you're making captive animals fight each other grounds, go right ahead. Legitimate objection.
There's
I
room
mean,
to
like,
stand on there.
Yeah.
If you do that, then you get fucking PETA's version of Pokemon, which is
Okay, well,
fucking
look, I'm
quality content right there.
I'm convinced that PETA is actually a satanic cult who is going around trying to ruin everything they can.
I mean, yeah, sure. Wouldn't surprise me either.
It is PETA.
That's very
Yeah.
possible, yes.
But like, have you seen PETA's Pokemon fan game?
Oh, heavens.
I don't need to
it's-
see PETA's Pokemon fan game. All I need to see is articles about what
Yeah.
PETA's fucking doing. Like, they kidnapped
Yeah.
some kid's chihuahua from their front yard and just killed it.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
quite like the Chinese government.
Wait,
Hmm.
hang on. They killed a Chihuahua?
Yeah, so basically, like, this girl let her chihuahua out to go to the bathroom, and a PETA van came up, took the dog, drove away, and then killed it.
Was it an accidental death, or did they?
No, like, they
No.
No, it was
euthanized
euthanized.
Yeah.
Why?
Because pets need to be freed from the shackles of life underneath
Wait.
the oppression of humanity.
Hang on,
Okay,
isn't
alright,
that just
I
the
get
plot of
the
Pokemon
feeling-
Black?
Oh, okay,
Right.
they
Oh, sorry.
clearly.
For a second there, I thought I was just saying
Stop.
the plot of Warcraft, the current edition, but yes.
Well, yeah, they might have, but like, it seems like they took that idea there, Sneaky.
Yeah.
But stopped at the word life. In just
like a
that.
Democrat.
I, let's not get into that.
He's right.
I have noticed how parodies of Pokemon in the Bible have been made in fan arts. Like Arceus is sitting at a table with 12 legendaries. And oftentimes as a fan I have wondered, if Arceus is God, then who is Jesus? As an Arceus myself, I believe Mew is Jesus, which is wrong. So you're just like triple wrong. You've been wrong since the start.
At what point do they say they think Mew is Jesus? I mean, granted, that's the only way that this logic can flow,
I mean,
even though it doesn't make sense.
The title of the story is called Mew Christ.
You know what? That's fair enough. My brain's already off for this. Yeah, no, that.
The 12 disciples of Jesus weren't superhumans or demigods, so I've replaced all of the legendaries with Pokemon starters. You know, the only Pokemon canonically able to use some of the strongest elemental moves in the game.
Yeah.
Of course.
At least it requires hard work.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but here's the thing, right? Like, a lot of Jesus' disciples were in relatively good position. Like, some
Yeah.
of them, right? So obviously, some of them, like Peter, were like fishermen, which, no disrespect to fishermen, right? But that was the equivalent of a blue collar worker in the Bible, right?
He was also a swordsman, though, so that's worth keeping in mind.
Well, yes, but right, you know, you look at like
The 1,000
Jesus
years of
himself, right?
expired
Jesus
Giratina
Jesus
will be
was
released.
in a amazingly good position to start. He was right. His father was a carpenter. He was a skilled tradesman.
I had property.
You know, that's
too.
another thing, is I really think more Christians should have been pushing for trade schools instead of sending their kids to college. Because, like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, that would require them actually having principles,
You're right, then,
you
my
know,
bad.
following them.
Yeah,
That's kind of a catch there.
yeah. It's kind of a catch, indeed.
Yeah.
Even the poorest of the poor who couldn't get into college. There wasn't really colleges back then. And, I mean,
Yeah,
like...
Well, also, Sneaky,
no.
that's a collage, not college. Come on now.
Oh,
Yeah.
True.
my
Gotta
bad.
put those
They couldn't
pictures
get into a
together.
collage.
I mean, also, I want to say, what was that one Greek philosopher who literally lived in a barrel, preached minimalism, and, like...
Diogenes.
Yeah. Like, he,
Diogenes the Cynic.
Yeah, he ate, like, fucking trash and shit, and, like, he lived off whatever food people would give him, and, like, there's even a whole fucking... This is actually a great little, butchered tale I'm about to tell, about, like, how there's this king going around taking everything, and then he comes up to the philosopher, and he's like... Fucking Christ. It's been so long since I've heard it, though. Basically...
Alexander the
Wasn't
Great.
it? Wasn't it Alexander the Great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he
And,
tries to offer the philosopher whatever he wants to be in his court to share his wisdoms or something, and the philosopher's like, "Move, you're in my son."
Yep. Based.
By the way, Alexander the Great had the biggest boner for Diogenes.
Oh,
he
yeah.
loved this dude. He went back to his friends and literally bragged that he got disrespected by Diogenes. He loved him that much. And here's the best thing about this, though. Alexander the Great killed people for not properly worshiping him enough. So that's got to put into the scale exactly how much this dude wanted this man's respect, and that's a little much for me. But
I mean, hey, you know...
Okay, but like, let's be fair here. It like, it'd be like saying Keanu Reeves called me a douchebag. Like, hey, Keanu Reeves talked to me.
Okay, but it kind of belittles it as well, because Diogenes was an abusive asshole to literally everyone.
Yeah, okay, fair. I guess it'd be
Yeah.
more like, guys, Gordon Ramsay insulted my cooking. But
And
at least
also,
that means
Atin-
Gordon Ramsay was eating my cooking.
Atin, you're also not the emperor of the known world at the
Yeah.
time.
I was
Yes,
also
I'm
going to
aware.
say, as Alexander the Great, he is in a unique position to be that really eccentric dude, because he conquered pretty much the entire map as far as they were concerned.
then he got sick and died like a little bitch because he wanted to conquer even more shit.
Yeah, I know, right? But
Well, to be fair,
you know.
he also... Part of the reason his conquering fell through was because literally his entire army was like, listen, you asshole, we have followed you across the entire map. We're done. We're either going home or making a home, but we're out.
Yep, they were little bitches about it. They should have just killed more people.
And
that's
then-
what God would have wanted.
And then there was Hadrian, and that's where we're leaving it.
The absolute most base of all the Roman emperors. Yes.
Yep.
Also, best thing
Hadrian
about
built a wall and made them pay for it.
he also did some fun stuff that the Mustache Man would have agreed with.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
The best thing about Diogenes though was, if you were beating him in an argument, he'd literally just whip his penis out and start masturbating on you.
He's like a 4chan philosopher.
100%.
Didn't he also
Now
like
here's the
bullshit
thing.
people?
Here's the thing.
OG
If
4chan
someone...
philosopher.
Now here's the thing, right? I'm willing to bet that, like, this never got recorded, but there was just one person... There were two people who beat him in arguments, finally beat him. One of them just whipped his out and asserted dominance right
My
back,
dick
and
is
the other one...
bigger!
The other one just kept staring him dead in the eyes and having this philosophical debate.
Oh man. I
It's
mean,
fine.
Like,
how
you know
else
there
is
was at least one.
Oh man, no. Diogenes is one of those characters of history that if you had to deal with him, you absolutely hated his guts. But hearing about him is one of the best things ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of like dealing with Sneaky.
Sure.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean,
Like, listen.
or
I don't like dealing with Sneaky, but I love hearing about what Sneaky inflicted on other people.
Yeah.
Because
Fair.
make no mistake, Sneaky is a status debuff, unquestionably.
We were just
Oh.
saying in my D&D on SDM that I seem to always build my characters for the exact opposite of the point of the campaign. Like the one campaign I was supposed to fight a bunch in, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go Charismamancer and talk to everyone. And now in this campaign that's coming up, that we're supposed to be like really investigative and really talkative, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna build a guy who can't talk to anyone and just punches things really fucking hard.
If it works, it works.
Literally built Donkey Kong.
I am too much of I enjoy being a nexus of chaos much more than I enjoy anything else.
Yep.
No, I do want to say this though. Being in
Yeah.
a collage at that point in time would have been way more impressive than going to a college. Because again, I think there were a few colleges, but I don't think collages had been invented yet. So if anyone can do it, 100% it was Jesus. 100%.
What the actual fuck?
Did you just look at yourself in the mirror, Sneaky?
No. I just looked at the
He opened
first
the Ruby
story that
page.
showed up in the Ruby section.
Yeah.
A
Oh.
ferret in Remnant. A story about a ferret going to Remnant.
Oh wait, is this a Draco Malfoy in Remnant story?
No, it's literally the animal.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's just-
Why?
In a world where people have weird gun thingies, weird bullet thingies, and people with red hoods and nice hats, and he has no idea how he got there or how he's going to return. Because a ferret... So this is actually something I like to talk about here.
Oh god. He's
So
gonna talk.
we have the weird gun thingies and weird crystal bullet things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a I'm probably going to use a bunch of incorrect words, so I'm just going to say them as a clump and then move on from there. Juxtaposition, what's the other word for things that are different from each other? You know,
Antonyms?
Is similar? Like you got to be a little
No.
more specific here.
I don't know.
Anachronism?
Basically what I'm trying to say here is they're trying to go with one angle of, ooh, the weird, objects that make big bang bang noises, right? So that's like, okay, so it's written from the perspective of a ferret who doesn't really understand what a firearm is.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But then they follow up the weird bang bang noise with, it's a gun that uses crystal bullets. So you do know what a gun is, so why are you describing it as weird? Because while I'll say Ruby's guns are weird, I would never call them gun thingies. So either you know what a gun is, or you don't know what a gun is, and it's a weird thingy that goes bang bang.
It's like it's out of character in the description of itself.
Yes, where it's this method of description that I pretty much never have seen done well. It's interesting in the idea of it, because it's like, oh, the character doesn't know, like the character is from the 400s, and they don't know what a gun is. They've never even heard of the concept of a gun.
The fuck is gunpowder?
And so them trying to describe what a gun is would be interesting in a way of perspective. But at the same time, it's not interesting in the way of narrative. And so when
One
you're trying...
thing that did that... Go ahead.
I'm saying when
I
you're
was just
trying
gonna
to... Yeah, when you're trying to balance perspective versus the narrative, because on one hand you do want to show how your character views the rest of the world, because that's a good way to make the audience, feel like they know the character. And then on the other hand, you still do need to get the narrative across to the people that already know, in this example, what a gun is. Like, it's sort of like describing Naruto. It's the start of your Naruto fanfiction to a bunch of Naruto fans, and everyone's just like, yeah, we fucking know what Naruto looks like. So anyway, you were saying?
One thing that did animal perspective very well was Watership Down. If any of you guys have ever read that or watched that movie,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have.
It's really good on the whole humans are weird giant things we have no meaningful frame of reference for, because the point of view characters are all rabbits. And
Yeah.
when they encounter human debris, it's like, the fuck is this? And it does it really well, and it doesn't belabor the point.
I rescind my earlier statement. There is one story that I think got it right. It was a story I read a very long time ago, and I don't remember the name of. But it was a series. But the premise of the story was that you have these packs of wolves, and yes, the alpha, beta, omega shit. Yeah. And there was this one omega wolf. It wasn't the sexual kind, it was just the pack hierarchy bullshit kind.
Yeah.
There was this one omega that was born weird and viewed the world differently than the rest of the wolves. And they didn't know why. They kept trying to classify things and name things and organize things into categories. Like what we did instead of what the wolves did of food, not food, dangerous, not dangerous, etc.
That sounds kind of like hell, to be honest.
Yeah, and later on in the story, they end up discovering why, and it's because she's a special kind of wolf or some shit, and she has a bonded human, and so she borrows like human insight to view the world with. And so it really creates a dichotomy. That's the word I was looking for. Where, as an animal, they're looking at the world one way, but they also at the same time know, like, the purpose of a house instead of just a really weird cave, you know? It's like, oh no, this is a house. This was built to stay in. The idea of creating shelter versus finding it. And so that was, I think, personally, despite the weirdness of that series, I think they did it quite well. I don't know how it turned out. I think the human and the wolf teamed up at one point to, like, fight bandits and some shit, and then rallied the wolves to fight evil wolves that had used their telepathic omega to side with human bandits or something. Look, okay, so the rest of the story got really fucking weird, and I don't remember remember much of it. But the worldview part I do remember as it set itself apart from other stories. Underplayed Creation says, how do you think the faunists would think of the animals they have traits of? That's actually a question I would have really liked answered in RWBY, because they don't show animals.
Aside from Zwei, I think.
What?
Zwei, the Corgi.
Yeah,
that's the only animal I think we see.
Yeah, that's like the only animal we ever see, and we don't really even hear mention of anyone owning pets. We don't really hear mention of just deer, hunting deer in the forest while you're out hunting Grim, and being like, oh, I'm gonna set up camp, gonna go shoot a deer or something for dinner with my gun. You know.
Here's a small question, though.
Yeah.
Zwei has aura, which means he has a soul. So is he even an animal?
It's a good question.
That's true. He might be some hideously mutated human.
Personally, I think he's an eldritch abomination.
Yeah, burst type beat.
Because they completely went with the canon that Zwei just fits in a transport tube.
Poster tube.
Yeah,
small poster tube.
Yeah, very small poster tube. Like, Zwei and 30 cans of food fit into this small 1-foot poster tube.
You know,
Canonically.
we were never told what Taiyang's semblance was.
We weren't.
I give him
no.
points if that's how they explained it.
Well, he's got pocket storage as a semblance.
He can just create pocket storage for items.
Is that why he had 2 wives? Anyway, so my point being is that we're never shown animals, and that, you know, I can kind of understand on a level as to why we're never shown animals, because it's really not that important. But what is important is that you make sure to mention this sort of shit. Especially if you have, you know, you're in the D&D world and you have fucking dragons and shit running around and death wolves and a whole bunch of other shit running around that would typically probably kill said animals.
Yeah.
So it's kind of important to be like, what are we eating tonight, Uncle Crow, when they're all out hunting in that one scene, and Crow's just like being like, well, you guys can eat your rations, I'm getting some venison, or I'm gonna go find me a rabbit, or, you know, something. To just be like, yes, there is animals in this area. Like, you don't have to ever show the animal. You can even skip the part where Crow even hunts, or you can, like, have the events happen before Crow gets to go hunt. Just mention it. Just, like, have Port at some point mention, like, oh, the time that I was wrestling a grizzly bear and then an Ursa showed up. You know, like, just something to tell us that animals actually exist. Because that's the other bigger question of, if these animals supposedly don't exist, where did they get the names for all the faunus traits from?
Yeah.
More, they're
The
all
Good question.
The closest thing we get to acknowledgement about faunus and the animal they get their traits from is Blake. And it's almost all for comedy.
Yeah.
She's scared of Zwei. She has an obsession with fish.
He's
Like,
antisocial.
Honestly, I think Blake is racist towards faunus as well, because she's like that person that says don't be racist to faunus and treat them like animals, but then simultaneously proceeds to enact every single cat stereotype that exists. And it's just like, Blake, I got some bad news for you.
I mean, in her defense, she did kind of join their version of the Taliban. You think she would have to, like, prove that she's a faunus's faunus to do that. So,
In the world of Remnant, okay, so first off, World of Remnant isn't canon as far as I'm concerned. Just same thing with Word of God. Word of God is also not canon as far as I'm concerned. If it doesn't show up in the media that is
It don't
publicly
exist.
accessible, and you don't need to pay extra money for,
yeah, that would make only a couple. I think the first half of the World of Remnant episodes aren't publicly accessible.
yeah,
That was part of the big
Like-
problem. Like,
I can understand, like, if, for example, you know, obviously you have to buy the Star Wars movies to watch the Star Wars movies, or, you know, back in the day you had to, but now that every fucking TV station shows them. Or, you know, like the Star Wars books to get the Star Wars books. I can understand Star Wars being like, all right, well, here's more lore, but it's going to be in a movie or book, and you have to pay for that. It's like, okay, fine, understandable. You've released everything else as a movie or a book before. It's understandable why I would have to continue this process of paying for the next movie or book. But if you start off your entire series with absolutely free episodes, you can't be like, also, pay us $15 if you want to know what the fuck is going on. It's like, no, hold on. You can't give me a bunch of free content that is canon and is the mainline series and then say, now pay for the behind-the-scenes explanations as to why everything is the way it is. It's like, well, that should be in the main series or free as well.
yeah, I'm pretty sure the first thing we ever got about Dust officially was World of Remnant, and it was DVD only.
Yeah.
And the DVDs were kind of hard to get your hands on because Ruby blew up super hard in the first 2 volumes because it was completely original from Montiome and from Rooster Teeth, who
In
were
the M
still riding
section,
high on
Velvet
RVB
also
at the
acts
time.
like the animal she's a trace of. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I do have a lot of problem with that. It's my personal. Correct me if you guys or challenge me if you guys feel differently. But if your narrative needs to have a tweet to correct people or to inform people of how the world works, or some like behind the scenes, like, yeah, so we were thinking about these things when we made this. If that's what's required to explain the world to the people that are watching the main series, I feel like that information should be incorporated into the main series. It shouldn't be like something I have to go out and search for. If it's that important to the narrative, it shouldn't be something I have to search for.
I would say the only exception to that is if the sheer quantity of information involved would detract from the narrative itself. But enforced death of the author is a very good attitude to have, because a lot of modern authors have gotten kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Because they'll be, if there's an issue, I can just tweet about it and solve it with a tweet. And that's not a good attitude.
I think if you need a tweet for it, yeah, maybe not. I think it's okay to cut some info if you can put it in like side material that's easily accessible.
Yeah. Okay.
But if it's
Yeah.
okay, let me put it this way: if it's really important, it shouldn't be in a tweet. It should be in official material somewhere. Maybe not the main story. Maybe it would detract too much from what you're trying to tell for the story at the time. Maybe have it on the official website somewhere. Like, hey, here's some stuff I couldn't squeeze in the page count because my publisher was being a real jackass.
I mean, it's like, imagine they had given Aura the dust treatment, where they're like, yeah, I know we're gonna mention Aura 90 fucking times in the first episode, but actually we're gonna make a behind-the-scenes explanation of Aura, and we're not gonna really tell anyone about that or link anyone to it. It's just gonna be there for the people that search for it.
I think the first World of Remnant on Aura was also that way.
Yes,
I think that was also DVD only.
Yeah, it was.
They did a follow-up.
Yeah. I know, but they at least sort of tried to explain Aura in the first episodes. But,
albeit somewhat poorly.
Yeah, poorly. But it's like, I don't need to know the full history on something, but for example, Star Wars and the Jedi. It's not immediately needed for us to know everything about the Jedi. But it is very important for the audience to know about the Jedi in the first 3 original movies. And because the entire plot is about the Sith and Jedi. Like, the whole conflict is because of the Sith and Jedi.
And even better, though, is they do a lot of showing, not telling.
Yes, they also do a lot of showing, not telling. And now, admittedly, they had, combined together, what would you say, in 4.5 hours with the first 3 movies?
If not a little bit more.
Give or take, something like that. But, I mean, it's important to remember, like, after episode 4 came, like, people started cashing in, like, expanded universe material very quickly after episode 4 came. Hold on.
But the expanded universe is, in its own definition, what it is. It's the expanded universe. It expands on all the stuff that episode 4 already explained. Like, that would be if someone created a book to tell us what dust is after the first 2 seasons of RWBY came out. It's like, okay, I feel like that should have been a little bit inside the original 2 seasons of RWBY. But, we still don't have any fucking information about the paradoxical dust. Okay, guys, you can't shoot the dust. It will explode if you shoot the dust, she says, surrounded by high-intensity mining equipment that's used to mine the dust. It's like, okay, so if we hit the dust, it explodes, but they mine it by hitting the dust.
Yeah, also, I do want to point, like, like, to give you an idea of how much Star Wars took off, it released May 25th, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
The first the first Marvel Star Wars comic was published in April of 97.
Nice. That's also a bit of a rush job, but damn, nice.
Well, I mean, not really. Like,
Are you talking about episode 1 or episode 4?
episode 4.
Those
Was it episode
early
4 or
comics,
69?
I'm sorry, where are you getting 97 from?
I'm sorry, 1977. 1977.
Okay, yeah, that's better, yeah.
Sorry. And the first comic came out in April of 1977.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
in defense of that, that was when Marvel still had its 1 week turnaround time
Fair.
for a new issue. So you've got Stan Lee in the bullpen, literally breathing down your neck, "Yo, where's my comic at?" So
Give me my comic or I'll kill your family.
Yeah. But,
according to some stories, hey,
God, do I hate Dust. God, do I hate how canon Dust
yeah.
works.
But anyway,
fucking
right, the
loathe
point
it.
is, some things, right, have just absurd turnaround times. And like, they take off in ways that other things just don't.
Anyway, point is, they're back to the original point of this. I don't like that the author tried to go with the whole, this character is dumb, doesn't quite understand the world the same way as everyone else does, doesn't have the same knowledge as everyone else, but then for the sake of narrative, just stopped narrating everything. The weird gun thingies, it's like, okay, the weird thingies, how are we supposed to know they're guns? The author tells us just flat out the guns. Because they're called weird gun thingies. Because apparently the ferret knows what the fuck a gun is, but can't understand the idea of putting a blade on it. The ferret knows what a bullet is, but for some reason can't understand why putting crystal in it instead makes it weird. But it still goes, oh, that's weird, it's the weird crystal bullets. It's like, do you even know what a bullet is? And if you do know what a bullet is, how much do you really know what a bullet is? Why would it be weird to you if the bullet's made out of crystal?
The whole concept of the bullet's weird.
Maybe it was a domestic ferret. I had a gun nut for an owner.
Domestic gun nut ferret.
A somnolence ferret.
That's gonna be
Beautiful.
my next D&D character after this campaign.
Oh, God.
I'm just gonna make a gun-wielding ferret.
I'm in.
Isn't that what the raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy basically is?
I mean, yes,
Kind
but
of. Except it can talk.
my ferret won't be able to talk. It'll just be a literal fucking ferret and just has a gun.
Okay, wait. Will it be a human-sized gun or a ferret-sized gun? Is the ferret going to have levels in Tinker?
Does the ferret use it like it's a
Yes,
bazooka?
it will be an
except it's-
artificer ferret. And all of its equipment will be magical.
Nikki, I'm gonna require you to record those sessions. 'Cause I'm gonna have to listen.
Be prepared to punch.
I mean, yeah,
I'm gonna want to be in on those. Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, if you find us a DM,
we are booked as far as
as far as
His
the two
campaigns.
campaigns we got going, we're both.
I'm aware. I will find someone.
I will
Now
gladly
look, my
join
friend's a
this.
little bit retarded, but he makes every session funnier.
Listen, he's a little retarded. He's an abrasive piece of shit.
Oh,
But
why
by
does this
God,
have a
does he make
review?
everything.
Ginger Wonder Woman. What the fuck? Okay,
That's,
we have to read this now. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
Hello, fellows. Period. My name is, I don't remember what my name is, and it's a very long story, and I don't want to share this story with you, but seeing how I might die now because some bitch is controlling, I have no idea what that thing is, but I might as well share my story. You can call me Ferret, because that's what I am. I'm a talking ferret. How did I get this way? I was born this fucking way. Cringe!
That's someone who's never actually had to talk like an adult before.
More or less. Now, honestly, I don't say fucking that much. Outside of this podcast.
I was gonna say this podcast.
What did I just walk into? I mean, you can clearly see on the screen exactly what you just walked into. There is a ferret in Remnant.
Aye, there's still time for you to walk away too. Run. Don't get sucked in, aye.
So anyway, this absolute garbage ass shit. So it goes on. At least I think I was born this way, and so I don't know whether the author is intentionally doing this or is accidentally doing this, but their grammar is fucking horrible. I'm talking about the punctuation in specifics. The periods and the commas are just all over the place, and I don't really know if they know what a period or comma is, because they're using periods where you should probably put a comma, and a comma where you should probably put periods. They might be European.
Maybe.
Because the only people I know that switch the usage of commas and periods is Europeans, and everyone knows that Europeans have lesser intelligence.
Bro. Well, he
See,
isn't
look,
telling.
the European was too stunned by what you said to even come up with a coherent response.
All I could do is utter bruh.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on this show for too long. That's why my intelligence is so low. It's
A
all your
man
fault,
has
my guy.
appeared in Remnant, seemed
What you get for
seeming
hanging around Americans,
be
man. You
normal.
should've known.
Yeah.
with a mysterious accent, deep voice, which is oddly capitalized, and immense strength, also oddly capitalized. So no, they're just shit at English.
Yeah.
This isn't like an attempt at like this animal thinks weird and differently. It's like, no, they're just shit at English.
How do I write?
And he arrives out of nowhere, making everyone guess who he is or what he is. Junior,
Maybe you're doing
cleaning
someone who's a little
bar.
younger.
Malachite twins keeping everyone in check. Guards doing guard thing. When entering building, 6 feet 8 inches. Wearing trench coat of sorts. Wearing trench coat of sorts.
Early
Yeah.
the Shakespeare of our time.
So, again, this is me earlier reading too much into the author here, where I thought he was trying to do this whole, like, oh, it's an animal and doesn't know shit. No, he's just straight up retarded and doesn't know how to describe things. I think he might be 13.
Most likely, yeah.
Possible.
Possibly.
With black jeans and black leather boots and a light blue shirt of some sort.
In his defense, I do own a pair of black jeans, and I usually wear them whenever I have to wear jeans.
I fucking hate fanfiction authors and everyone with OC donut steal syndrome. I loathe them. There is not a word in the English language that can properly describe my absolute, unending hatred of their very existence. Because they have ruined my ability to wear steel-toed boots with black jeans and a vest.
Just be like Razor Fist, dude.
What, do it anyway and don't care?
Definitely, man. That
I
dude
mean, I
fucking
do
weird
it
me
anyway, and I
off.
don't care. It's just when I'm confronted with it, it reminds me that I loathe these people. Because it's just like all
Yeah.
of the traits you have just listed is me just existing because it's comfy and I like it. And you're like, no, he's edgy. He wears black because that makes him edgier. It's like I just like the color.
It's a nice neutral color, goddammit.
I used to work in an
And
airline
I can relate to that, Sneaky.
everyone there
Unfortunately.
wore black.
Like half my wardrobe is just various things in the color of black. Or
Easier to
gray.
keep clean.
I own a lot of gray as well. Atin probably remembers this, where there was a period of time on campus where I only wore gray everything, including a gray bandana.
It was kind of funny. I remember there were a couple of times, because surprise, Vermont, there was a lot of predominantly gray weather. There were times when like he would be up against one of the hill, because oh my god, Sneaky, would you agree with me when you would say that 65% of our campus was always uphill?
Dude, it was literally uphill going there and coming back.
Like, yes, we understand that's impossible, right? We do get it. But oh my god, was it bad. Anyway, so there were many times when Sneaky would be silhouetted against a hill, and for a second you're like, is that fucking person up there? Sneaky.
Like,
Like,
everyone
if you saw a
just knew me
Persian-shaped
as
blur
that
on the
guy
horizon.
who wore gray.
Oh my god. Also, Champlain had like such a proliferation of guys. Like, and I mean that in the generic term of a person who was known for doing a specific thing.
Yes, yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
guy who always wore a trench coat. There was a guy who always wore like 501st level Mandalorian armor.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
That
no, it was
sounds
quite
great.
cool, but like all the time.
There was the parkour
There was-
guy. There
there was the
Nerf
guy
boys.
who always had like left side of his face, full beard, mutton chops, giant mustache. Right side, baby's bottom.
There was the dreadlocks guy.
Oh, by the way, the parkour guy, literally just nonstop. Like, oh look, you hear random thumping outside your classroom window. It's the parkour guy. He's probably trying to get onto the. He didn't want to, fourth floor. It's a little rickety up there, so he's coming down the third floor.
It's so.
My favorite part of the day was my second year. I started what was it? It was an accounting class. I started an accounting class just as one of his classes got out, and he was on the second floor. Sneaky, did you ever go in the business center?
Oh yeah, yes, and he would jump down through the lobby.
He would jump down, cause just bop, bop, and then like slide down the pole, like the giant pole. He treated this like support column like a fireman's pole.
That dude's fucking like spinning down poles and shit to get the places faster. It's just like, bro, man. He was possibly 90 pounds when wet.
Oh my god, that dude was nuts. Oh, there was the dude who always had a Nerf gun. Didn't matter if zombies was going on. He just had a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
And if you gave him $1, he could peg anybody you paid him to peg.
Man, that's good money.
It was that campus was something else.
Like it despite being like, what was it, like 2,500 students max? It more than matched UVM for wackiness.
Yeah, it was around.
And UVM had the naked bike ride.
Yeah.
Which, once again, so unsanitary.
Well, I mean, not only that, it's just
Yeah, I mean, yes, but like, so unsanitary. Like, Like, the only way I would ever put up with that was if, like, I bought, like, a brand new bike seat, put it on for just that one ride, and then burned it afterwards.
For some reason, they also did the naked bike ride in the middle of January.
I assume it was because they were masochists.
I mean, fair. So anyway, this author's fucking dumb. Probably 13. He put line card on table and just asked for cheapest whiskey he got. His voice was deep and carrying mysterious accent.
Okay, look. Like, if you ever want proof that someone's not been in a bar, listen, if someone walks in and goes, I want the cheapest thing you've got, the bartender will go, get the hell out.
That too.
Not because they don't want your money, but because if you walk in asking for the cheap stuff and you put a credit card down, they know what a bar fight looks like.
That too. That too. Also, if they don't recognize you, they're likely to be like, no. No, I'm not going to start feeding into your fucking 5-hour rambling, drunk, cheap whiskey addiction. But, anyway. Junior obliged him because he paid for it.
Yeah, like I said, clearly has never dealt with a human being.
I'm honestly just confused by this sentence. Like, you walk in, you're like, give me your whiskey, here's money, and the guy's like, well, because you're giving me money, I'll give you some whiskey. It's like, yeah, that's what a transaction is called. Like,
That's how business works.
I don't know why that needs to be mentioned. Like, oh, well, Junior gave him the whiskey because he was received money in exchange. It's like, yeah.
Is this remarkable? Does Junior not normally receive funds for an exchange of services?
You can also, yes, so this person is not above the age of 16. You can tell because they've never drunk before because of the following sentence. And got him a glass of cheap, flavorless whiskey.
That's
Yeah,
not...
no.
I'm sorry, but cheap whiskey has a flavor, and it ain't a good flavor.
Yeah. The flavor
I
is
haven't
pain.
drunk, and I know that.
It is rancid. That's why you
Yeah.
mix it with things. He just took the glass and drank it. Okay, yeah, that's typically what you do.
Yes, today I'm going to not drink the alcohol I just paid for.
I'm going to... now, be fair, Arn. There are occasions when people will purchase
To be fair,
the alcohol and stare morosely at it as they ponder why they're there in the first place.
that is true,
Well,
that is true.
sure.
However, if a bartender proceeded to pour me a glass of whiskey that didn't smell like anything, I would also hesitate to drink it.
True.
Something is wrong with that whiskey.
Yo,
Or
I know
I'm
I asked
already
for the
too
cheap...
drunk.
I know I asked for the cheap stuff, but I can't even smell this.
That whiskey ain't right.
That's an interesting accent you have there. Where are you from? I'm from nowhere. Obviously, he was avoiding the conversation.
Hmm?
Oh yeah, I would say that's the other thing that'll make the bartender kick you right out. Like, you've put down your card, you're buying the cheap stuff, and you're not going to talk.
Now, come on, man. You gotta
Like-
tell the story after that. Yeah.
Like, A, you gotta tell the story, but B, he's gonna look at you and be like, oh, this is busted tables in a lawsuit.
Yeah. Do you have
This
a
is
name?
busted
No.
tables.
Now fuck off. Shut the fuck up. Stop interrupting me. I just came here for a few fucking drinks, not a fucking interview. Now keep refilling my goddamn glass and leave me the fuck alone. He said in a
And-
threatening tone.
Leave my bar.
Yep. And security!
Hey, bouncer!
Someone get the cops for this man.
Like, literally, just like... I'm 13 and my only experience with being inside a bar is an action movie.
Yep.
Well, especially since it's Junior, right? Junior owns the bar. Junior runs the bar.
Junior
Like,
also
made-
practices the Second Amendment by owning a rocket launcher.
As
A
God
rocket
intended.
launcher that is also a bat, because sometimes you just need to home run someone out.
Sometimes you need
Well,
to
no,
beat a
let's be clear.
motherfucker.
He also exercises the Second Amendment by equipping his
Entire
service staff
staff.
with ballistic missiles.
Ballistic
yeah, as
missiles,
every man should.
SMGs, couple rifles, you know, the usual fare.
Don't you just hate it when your waiter takes out an RPG and says pay the bill?
Pay the bill or find out.
Does Remnant have the Second Amendment? I'm pretty sure it's an unspoken amendment. You don't really need to write that one
Yeah.
down.
I get the feeling most of
Fair,
Remnant just
when there are
accept
Eldritch
that that's how it
Abominations,
works.
No,
I mean,
no.
like,
Underplayed says the Second Amendment is the First Amendment. No, Underplayed. The Second Amendment in Remnant is the opening line.
Yeah, first
of,
thing
of the Declaration of Independence.
I mean, like, the closest thing we have to Remnant on Earth is Svalbard. And there, if you leave the city, you have to have a gun on you. Like, you legally have to be armed to leave the city. That's not a joke.
That's based.
is there a
Yep.
reason for that?
Polar bears.
I
Ah,
see.
that is a very good reason.
Yeah,
That is
so,
very good reason.
as I said, the closest thing we have to Remnant on Earth.
I mean, I've read up
There
on
is
polar bears,
Australia.
and if you
Yeah.
see a polar bear, you're about to get fucked, and so your only
Oh,
choice
yeah.
is to stand or die.
Yeah, I mean, wait, let me check this, because I'm not sure what caliber restriction there is, but, like, I'm fairly sure the minimal caliber requirement is, like, 308.
Yeah, it's probably going to be 4570, 308, 44 at the
whatever-
lowest.
Okay, so that's
Whatever
so what
a
I'm hearing
recommended
is
Yeah.
large
that's
game
the
is.
one place in the world where no one will look at you sideways for carrying the Smith and Wesson 50
500.
caliber. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's usually 308 Winchester or 30-06 or slug shotguns.
Yeah. Yep, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's
I've seen what a slug shotgun can do to something.
Yeah.
yeah. I like that all of them are like, all right, so you have to carry this. You mean this thing that will tear a human apart? Yeah.
Yep.
Fair enough. All right.
I
enough.
like the fact that a slug shotgun has the same overall force of a 308 fired from a rifle, and it's like, but this is meant for close range to an extent. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can fire it pretty far. It's just, it's a slug. It kinda has the bullet drop of a motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, alright, so the exact wording is minimum caliber of 308 or 30-06
Minimum
for a rifle.
caliber. That is something that I want to see in America. I want to see
Yeah.
a minimum caliber required by law.
And a minimum bullet weight of 11.5 grams. A required impact energy of at least 2,700 joules. At a distance
Your
of 100
bullet
meters.
is required to do this much damage before you're allowed to leave the city.
Yeah, and you also, for a
Oh,
shotgun,
Alaska.
it needs to be at minimum a 12 gauge. And a minimum of 4-shot magazine, either automatic or pump action works. Slugs are recommended. Mag-fed
But not
shotguns aren't
required.
recommended due to problems with icing and whatnot. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, and it's advised against the use of double-barreled shotguns because of the number of available shots.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I have a quad
the-
barrel. If I have a quad-barreled shotgun.
So,
Maybe, yeah,
Bernie
probably
is
works.
always saying we need to copy the Scandinavian method. I think he's onto something here.
Yeah. Also, there is also a section for handguns. Ammunition to be used for protection against polar bears shall have a minimum weight of 15.5 grams and a minimum caliber of .44.
Called it.
Okay, like
Yep.
I assume it
Yep.
starts with, like, you have to start with like the Desert Eagle and work up,
No,
right?
44. 44.
Yeah, 44,
44,
Magnum.
yeah.
But yeah, you can get a 44 Deagle.
Well, I was gonna say, aren't most of them 44 these days?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
45?
more practical than the. So yeah, that's like the closest thing we have on Earth to Remnant or a Death World is Svalbard, and there you legally have to have a gun. So, anti-gunners, BTFO.
Isn't
Yeah,
there
you know,
a handgun
that's-
that fires the 7.62 for a rifle?
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
But I
there is
wouldn't
one.
recommend that.
At least one. The one I've seen is fucking garbage because it's like a break action Derringer type
the
thing.
problem with the 7.62 round is it's specifically a rifle cartridge, which means it's exceedingly long, it's pointed. Generally it's not built to be fired from a handgun, which has smaller, more compact bullets.
Yep.
And rounded noses.
The ergonomics just isn't there.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, I suppose the real question is, Sneaky, if I had my replica
Don't
battle
get me
rifle,
wrong though,
would
being
it
shot by
qualify?
a 44, you won't really be able to tell the difference between being shot by a 7.62 and a 44.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, no,
But-
Sneaky, do you know who can tell the difference?
The polar bear?
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
And they're the only one that matters in this equation.
yeah,
Fair.
I've seen some tests done, and like, even a 308 can pretty easily bounce off the skull of a polar bear. Like,
Oh.
yeah, you'll nick it, like you'll break the skin and like make a bit of a wound, but the skull is so fucking dense, and the brain inside is so tiny and so well protected that, yeah, going for a headshot is more likely to not work. Honestly,
So what I'm
So what do you do?
Okay,
is...
so
Like, do
going
you
for a
aim for like
headshot.
the knee or something?
center mass usually.
Yeah, if you can get
Okay,
the
but, like-
organs, you're pretty much
Okay, but like
set.
center mass of a polar bear, like,
Yeah, it's a
because I'm
big
assuming
mass.
this is the polar bear running at me. Like, aren't I pretty
Yeah.
likely to hit its head on accident anyway?
Yes, that is
Yep.
part of the problem.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that is an issue. That's why
So
the
what
caliber
I'm
requirement is
hearing
so high.
is that the 50 cal Ralphus round was in fact not invented
Yep.
to shoot people inside of jeeps, but instead invented to kill polar bears.
Yep, it is specifically intended to penetrate the skull of polar bear and detonate inside the brain.
Well, I can't tell if you're shitting me or not.
No, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw
God.
the
Humanity being humanity.
fucking, the video I
wasn't
posted on the
sure.
Ralphos like a week or so ago. But like,
Yeah,
when it went
speaking of that
through the
video,
corridor and detonated,
speaking of that video, yeah, apparently being shot by a 50 cal tracer round is worse than being shot by a 50 cal round, and not for the reasons you might think. So the 50 cal round goes through you and it leaves a significant hole, right?
Yep.
The 50 cal tracer round is meant to explode upon contact with material to, show where you're hitting, right? And now the problem with the human body is the 50 cal incendiary tracer round does not consider flesh to be material. It does, however, consider bone to be material.
Oh no.
yeah.
So it will punch through your chest and then explode on your spine, flash cooking your entire insides.
Yeah.
Okay, but surely if it collapses your entire chest, like, you're 95% dead anyway by that point, right?
You actually,
Yeah.
surprisingly, the normal 50 cal round has a very neat entry wound, and it significantly like brutal exit wound, but not like a slug or something you would see from a shotgun. It was like a
Yeah.
it was like a shooting someone with a 5.56 effectively. Like the 50 cal has such high over penetration on the human body that yes,
Yeah.
you are dead, obviously.
Yep.
But it's not like a explosions and whatnot.
Yeah, that was like
Huh.
specifically the issue with using the Raufoss round in a direct fire. Because, like, for those who don't know, it's a delayed explosive inside, so it penetrates and then detonates. And with it, if you shot it directly at a human, like, it would just have the same effect as a normal 50, go straight through without detonating because you don't have enough mass. But when they shot it through a car door first, and like the human sat behind it at a slight distance, it fucking chunked that torso.
Yeah,
Like-
it literally tore the entire left shoulder off
Yep.
with the explosion. The timed explosion.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in technology here.
Yeah,
Give me a sec.
it's pretty crazy. And
Do me a favor and just, for argument's sake,
yeah.
slap the not safe for work tag on there, boys.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's just
they use bullet gel.
But yeah, ballistic. Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's Grand Thumb. It's on YouTube. Like, it's not gonna show too grisly things.
Okay, YouTube has kept literal beheadings up, so...
Well,
yes.
yeah.
Oh,
But I mean, like, those are
Well,
usually posted by Muslims.
Atten, you have to respect people's religions.
Yeah, exactly.
My religion is the Rothfuss round.
Based.
I mean, you could make a religion out of that.
Yeah, we could and we should.
All hail the murder cube.
Yes.
my favorite jihadi video was the one where they ISIS has a tank.
I'm
and
gonna
they're
need you
run a guy
to
over.
not say those words again, buddy.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh come on! You had to see it. It was like the saddest thing ever.
My
They got,
favorite
captured
jihadi,
Syrian
we don't
soldiers.
hear from him for like a solid 15-20 minutes and he just comes back in. Yeah, my favorite jihadi video is...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And so they're missing the guy, and the guy has to hop over in front of the tank tread completely because otherwise they'll only like half crush him. And you just have to take a moment and just go, this man literally just had to kill himself because the people trying to kill him were going to fuck up his execution that badly.
I mean, it's
Oh,
ISIS,
man.
what do you expect?
Yeah.
Anyway, so, then thugs starting harassing female clubbers, and they made her uncomfortable, trying to force her to clearly drink drugs. Junior was about to send the twins to deal with it when the man gets up and walks over. And Junior, not knowing what the fuck's about to happen, says, "Hey, twins, shit's about to get
Throw
a bar
everybody
fight."
in that quarter of the bar out.
Everyone knows what's about to happen. I'm sorry, author.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, in a setting like Ruby, if you were willing to even risk committing a crime like that against someone, you probably have to be pretty stupid. I mean, it's a 50-50
Well, I mean,
shot that they have
it's
to be
honestly, it's a
powered.
50-50. I say the same thing about Worm very often whenever the subject's brought up. It's like, if you make an entire enterprise off of kidnapping people, torturing them and drugging them until they're sex slaves, and then just basically raping them every day until they finally commit suicide or die from other, like, overdoses, you know, like,
Hashtag Asian
you
crimes.
are taking your life into your own hands because everyone knows you get powers on the worst day of your life. And I say everyone knows, it's not everyone knows, but it should pretty much be basic knowledge at that point, because it's like, oh no, a car crash happened and someone got powers. Oh no, a mall shooting happened and someone got powers. Oh no, bad event
That is-
happened and someone got powers. I wonder if there's a fucking connection.
That actually could be a fun thing to do with a story. Is simply take it. Oh, Lung is so arrogant and so confident in his powers that he's willing to take that risk.
Yes.
And
Now,
then-
alternatively, you also have people like Lung who, in fact, can just do that because he's Lung. And he's like, yeah, I can solo the entire hero cast at the same time of the entire US East Coast. You kind of can get away with some more shit than normal.
To be perfectly honest, the situation with Lung is also another one of those things I don't particularly like.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because when he's not ramped up, he's just a normal guy.
Yeah, that was, in the Dead story that I never ended up writing. I wrote like one chapter with Gray on.
Yes.
That was actually my character's plan before the entire gang war kicked off, due to him. The plan was to start off the entire thing by assassinating Long when he least expected it, with a 50 caliber round to the head from far away,
That would do it.
and just
Go
not
ahead.
dealing with it. Basically, it's just being like, all right, his brain is pulp. There is no recovery from this. He never even had a chance to be anything but a normal human. Cleaned up.
Job
I
done.
mean, like,
Go
I
home.
assume that if you could, I would. Here's the thing, like, I would worry so much about that. I would like, right, because we saw that you can drug him into submission, right? Hit him with just like a quadruple strength horse trank, so he either falls right to sleep
Or dies.
or dies immediately from an overdose.
Yep.
Don't even try for something like a 50 caliber round. Knock him the hell out. Walk up and just
Well,
Tinker Tech sword. Just
yes, the secondary problem is and the reason why my character wasn't going to go that route was Oni Lee is typically described as constantly being around Lung if he's not out on a mission for him.
yeah. So you'd either have to wait for Oni Lee to be causing a problem, or
Right.
Actually, Oni Lee's almost brain dead. The clones, his power forms are imperfect, and each one is like a little more robotic and a little bit less creative. So, with how often he's used his power, he probably shouldn't be too difficult to fool. Like some straight up like Metal Gear Solid tier. Oh, what's that over there? Type shit.
Yes, but at the same time, if you are in Worm, like, you're not isekai'd into Worm. You grew up in Worm. You wouldn't exactly be willing to take the chance
No, not even a little.
that Lung might catch on and Oni Lee might not fall for the, oh, what's that rock over there?
yeah. I mean,
No, there
I
was
would give
some other
something like that, like a
incredibly based
50-50.
stuff I wanted to do in that story, like give some really rousing speeches about taking back America and shit and going full 1776 again, Alex Jones style, people rise up and fight the government shit.
Nah, listen, Sneaky.
That would have been a
Sneaky.
fun story.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do that, go the full 40k. Like, listen, put as many inflammatory Grey Knight quotes in there as you can, and see who falls for it. Hey, this is a pretty good idea.
What, 40k shit?
Yeah, that's always fun bait.
I mean, it was sorta gonna pull on 40k in general, but just how 40k also pulls on other great speeches around the, from other great leaders. Shit like light a fire in your heart, people of Brockton Bay. It's time for you to rise up and realize the gangs are numbering only in thousands while you are hundreds of thousands. They only have the power that you give them in your fear. Rise up. Other shit like discrediting the PRT as just being another gang, but that one's government sanctioned.
If you want to go that route, though, there are some real world examples.
Oh, I know, and I did want to go that route. It's just I started writing the story with Gray, and then I just stopped writing the story because I was like, oh, there is so much in Worm that's like quote unquote guaranteed to happen, like basically stations of canon that I can't avoid no matter how much I derail the train.
Mm-hmm.
Such as
Actually,
Leviathan, perhaps?
Leviathan, Smurg, Behemoth, Scion, Eidolon,
oh,
this the Slaughterhouse 9. Just really a gamut of characters that would either actively target or just passively ruin the story by their actions.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's be like, if we're being real, like the existence of the Slaughterhouse 9 is like you can get around Leviathan, right? You can get around Leviathan. Lots of people get around Leviathan by getting away around Leviathan the way that Wildbow himself got around Leviathan, which is goodness me, I can't remember her name. Crossbow Girl.
Fleshay.
Yeah, for sure.
Flechette.
Right, but the
Like,
problem is that the reason why Leviathan targeted Brockton Bay when he did was because of how all of the three
was because of
Endbringers were set
Coil.
up. Yeah, because basically each Endbringer targeted cities based on certain factors like unity, disunity, energy
Progress.
programs. So the Smurg targeted progress, and part of the problem is that my character was going to be a chemicals tinker, which would be able to introduce a lot of progress to the city, but also be able to improve the lives of everyone in the city. And because he's a tinker, and the Smurg loved targeting three things: progress, general progress, and tinkers. At
Also,
any
don't
time,
forget, Eidolon's ego factors into things too. So if your character had in any way outshone him in the smallest manner,
right,
you
exactly.
automatically get.
That's what I'm saying. Is like he would be another major issue, and then the triumvirate would be on me, and my character just doesn't have a counter to fucking Cauldron. And like there is so much in the setting that my character flat out doesn't have a counter for, and I don't mean a counter as in like direct counter. I mean just the ability to work around it. My character would not have it. And the only reason why Taylor was able to do it all was because she has author fiat. And I'm writing a fanfiction. I don't get to make the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to build the sandbox that I'm playing in. That's Wildbow.
Speaking of, I am hoping that you guys could help me with a little bit. That's why I came on tonight. And Sneaky, your chat is more than welcome to join in. But
Sure, yeah.
if you guys have a minute, I do have a few questions I'd like
hit
to
us.
help with.
Sure.
So, in case y'all didn't know, I am a commissioned author. I write fanfic for money. Yes, I am a whore. And I am dealing particularly with this most recent fic, a problem of merging Worm and the World of Darkness. I've already
Ooh,
established.
that's a sticky wicket.
Yeah, I told him all. He came in earlier and talked to me about it, and I told him that. It's like, yeah.
My initial plan is that Gehenna is just 100% delayed. I'm taking that off the table to start with because in the Dark Ages, you had the fall of Baghdad, the Lubeck fire, all those other signs of Gehenna. So I'm going to say all the signs of Gehenna in the modern times were just more, it's a vague prophecy. Everything can be interpreted how you want to interpret it. Gehenna will
Okay, so
come
we're going Book of Revelation.
Yeah.
basically, because I need that. Otherwise, there is the issue with the fact that we are at the point in the timeline when Gehenna should be actively happening, which means I have, months at most in story to develop the story. And that's just not going to work for what the client's wanting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Secondly, the technocracy. I have no way to work around them, so I kind of have to take them out of play. This would be the technocracy with an additional 21 years of build-up with access to modern technology and tinker tech. And this would be post-Ravnos as well. so they would have outed themselves.
Honestly, I think the easiest solution is the first toast.
Mhm.
No one even knows about it. It's the technocracy.
Mhm.
Sincerely.
Mhm.
They would be basically prime target 1 for the Simurg.
Well,
My plan.
the
Go ahead,
problem,
Sneaky.
as I was telling him, the problem is in World of Darkness has quite a bit of concept fuckery, which is an
Virtual
issue
reality.
because all of Worm works on superphysics, which fair enough, technocracy does as well to an extent. But that's the other problem, is that the technocracy would be more or less able to reverse engineer all Tinkertech, because all Tinkertech is just super science based on other civilizations' technology that's been introduced flaws into it so that anyone trying to create it with normal science would fail. But if someone like the technocracy got their hands on it, they would be able to understand the concepts behind what the object does.
And worst of all, they would believe that they could reverse engineer it, and their
Which,
collective belief
would go into them being able to doing it, yeah.
So my plan with that was actually to simply say, Cauldron did it. Cauldron, because powers don't interact well with the supernatural, they decide to try to contact the technocracy. They open a door to the technocracy, and this just absolutely ruins everything. It rips a hole in the dimensional barriers protecting their base. Massive hordes of monsters swarm in. Shit hits the fan. The leadership gets decapitated. They're not all dead, but they're now rudderless, and all they know is that someone somewhere instantaneously decapitated their organization. Cauldron knows none of this. They have no idea what went wrong, but Doormaker and Clairvoyant both almost seize out and die. And so they're not going to try again, and as far as they're concerned, that was just a failed path. I felt that was the easiest way to avoid the issue of there being literal death lasers in orbit capable of killing things on the scale of an antediluvian.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have the Nosferatu. Are they the Zmei? They're eldritch shadow dragon god things, which they summoned to kill their clan founder, but that's something I would have to deal with later on, because I do want to actually have a happy ending, other than the story goes on and everything just gets moderately worse continuously for the rest of time.
So
there
Worm.
does need a conclusion. I know I don't want to have a fucking ward issue.
Yeah.
So to everyone here, my idea was to establish a meta plan for this is what's happened, this is how things have built, and then just never explain any of the bigger stuff. To make a lot of it just so absolutely in-universe secret that the people who know would never tell anyone under
Yeah.
any circumstances. And so I just don't have to address it.
Yeah, that is the big flaw of Fusion Worlds, and I've talked about that multiple times. Where when you have high-powered individuals, or even worse, organizations, and you have to somehow square the circle of these two super-powered organizations of existing at the same time when they would have obviously clashed by this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So are you basic structure things that I needed? Are you going to make it so that, like, right, someone's a vampire, werewolf, magician, whatever, they can't trigger? Because that's an important question.
True.
It depends. Vampires flat out can't trigger. Their body's in stasis. Their brain can't be changed. Even if they have the potential for it, it cannot happen.
Okay, makes sense. Solid reasoning.
Werewolves, yes, because werewolves are canonically the super special snowflake race.
True.
The idea was to have Bitch actually have been a werewolf, and that's her whole shtick is her power also works on herself. But she has no idea what being a werewolf means.
That's fair. Holy crap, that makes her so much more of a problem.
Yeah, that's actually like terrible. Wow.
The client specifically wants her to be a werewolf. With the caveat though that the Undersiders will probably still die if they fight long. So I'm personally trying to speak to him about how he wants to go about avoiding that part of canon, because full-powered lung instantaneously still wipes the Undersiders if they seriously try to fight. And even Bitch, as a werewolf...
Well, I mean, not only that, but fire versus a werewolf.
Yeah. Dragon
was
Man
also-
versus werewolf.
One other thing in terms of powers I am putting my foot down is that Purity's light is 100% true sunlight. It absolutely will purge the shit out of anything that doesn't like sunlight.
Fair.
Oh yeah, no,
100%. Yeah, no, I agree with
it
you.
is. I was just say, as far as I know, canonically, it totally is sunlight, right? Like she makes
no,
a sun.
No, she makes a helix. No, you're thinking of Sun Dancer.
Yeah.
No, Purity is the woman who shoots DNA strands at people.
Yeah.
She does get a power up from the sun, though, which is where I'm deriving that from.
No, fair enough.
So,
as far as the fusion goes, are you going to have anything dealing with the conceptual pulling? Like, Lung being stronger because he's pulling on the concept of a dragon due to his transformation?
yes, the idea was to actually have the ABB, instead of the Nazis for once, the ABB to be the most mystically inclined faction left in the Bay.
I mean, I don't
I'm
see
set
why
up
they
this
wouldn't
whole
be.
backstory where the Bay was this massive battleground at one point. The Marquis were allied with mages and changelings. The Empire had Sabbat backing. All these things were fighting it out in the Bay. And then the Slaughterhouse 9 came through, and no one was ready for the Siberian to just instantly no-sell everything everyone tried to do. And when the Butcher leaves, they leave with the werewolves, and when the Marquis is brought down, the Pentacle of Mages breaks apart. So what's left in the Bay are a bunch of old-timers who are relatively low power. And one big super nasty secret, which is why everyone was there in the first place. In the aquifer under the bay, there is an earthbound sleeping. And that's the big crux of the story, is that's what it's going to turn on, and why everything gets so serious.
Alright, fair
Also,
enough.
Sophia's going to be a Fomori, and I'm going to have fun turning her into a shadow tentacle monster.
Okay, fair enough. I do feel, for the first time in my life, I'm going to say I feel sorry for Sophia.
Yeah.
I like turning her into a more openly psychotic killer. It's fun. I had one story where it was serial killer Danny versus Sophia back in full vigilante mode. I like that one. That was fun.
I mean, it's an interesting idea. There's a lot. I think one of the other things is, and I'm sure you already know this, there's a lot of secret societies you gotta mesh.
Which is actually something I'm going to say explicitly no longer works anymore. Because of the internet, because of TV, all the various supernatural factions are vaguely aware of each other, and everyone is a nodist, basically. Everyone is my specific interpretation of the creation myth of everything is the accurate interpretation, and everyone is at best moderately wrong. So, the Kuei Jin are their super isolationist, everyone else is an inferior barbarian deal, while the Laban are literally, no, it's the gods, and the mages are like, no, it's the aeons, and no one agrees, but everyone is at least tentatively aware everyone else exists. Something like the Tamei-Ra, the True Black Hand, or the Black Hand, organizations like that are obviously still secret. The Web of Knives, I think, is the vampire assassin order that works with the Banu Hakim. They're obviously still secret. Your average vampire doesn't know they exist. But the vampires know the mages exist, the mages are aware of the changelings, and so on and so on. And obviously there's more degrees of overlap. But one thing I actually absolutely hated about the original canon was that vampires, for example, don't care about mages. which makes no sense, especially with a Tremere. But it's canonical that vampires, at most, consider mages, awakened mages, to be effective ghouls. And beyond that, neither the Camarilla nor the Sabbat ever cared about them, which is nonsensical.
Yes.
Vampires are obsessed with power. It's like the defining trait of their race. Everything is a game to acquire more power.
Well, I can't speak on World of Darkness because that's I mean, it's been retconned so many times now that they even had to call it Old World of Darkness and New World of Darkness.
Oh yeah, I guess that's another important question. Old or new?
Little bit of both. The client is mostly Old World. Two things he's taking from New is that torpor muddles the memory of vampires. So even the oldest don't have 100% accurate information anymore. It's very much
fair enough.
I remember this. If this is true, I don't know. Whatever. And how blood potency works. If a vampire has been in torpor for a long time, their power drops way down.
Now, is this a one shot from him, or is he like paying you to do chapter 1 and then we'll see from there?
He's paying me to do chapter 1 and as many other chapters as I'll do after that. So,
I mean, hey man, if, it works, it works. You seem to have a handle on it so far. We don't have too much to comment about, honestly. It really just comes down to execution now.
Yeah, I think you've got a decent handle on it. Like I said, for me the biggest problem is squaring the circle of so many, because both worlds are, I would argue, pretty much at the maximum capacity for the number of secret societies they can support.
That's the big problem. Conspiracies just don't last long. So how does the PRT not have detailed information on these threats? Because I'm not going to establish.
The only one that makes even a remote amount of sense is them not being able to find out. Right, the people who run the PRT know about Cauldron and won't let the PRT actually know about Cauldron. All right, fair enough.
I mean, you could always go with the classic hunter. What are they called? Not cells. The larger hunter organizations.
Like the Shadow Inquisition and shit like that?
Yeah. Like, you could always say a larger hunter organization has more or less infiltrated the government paranormal, paranormal handlings, and is basically at a lower level, classifying everything either as, similar powers but totally unrelated, or they're going out of their way to, we've got information about this werewolf girl. I know it's a werewolf because I'm a hunter. So I'm going to go contact my non-government, not known to the government hunter buddies who are in an underground cell. I'm going to give them the location of this werewolf. They're going to kill the werewolf, and then I'll just delete the record and nothing will ever come of it.
Do you think that as readers, people would be satisfied if I just went with biotinker constructs that got loose?
I think that is actually worse than a countrywide, low-level conspiracy of multiple hunter cells working together to suppress the knowledge. Because...
So, what, lean on Delta Green, then, a little bit?
More or less, yeah. Because, the whole problem with declaring it as, like, a biotinker thing getting loose is there is a clear and obvious problem in that some of those biotinker constructs are infectious. And you can't just be like, oh, well, I mean, the werewolf, air quotes, the bit Stacy, and she's now a, air quotes, werewolf. They aren't actually werewolves, guys, even though they do all the werewolf things. They're actually biotinker constructs that got loose and are infectious, and we're not doing anything about it.
my initial plan was a Nilbog Bonesaw alleged team up, which was the official
Right.
cover
So
story.
the problem with that though is if Nilbog and Bonesaw ever had the opportunity to team up, the U.S. government would likely go with the nuke it until there's not even a crater left approach.
Yeah.
So it just strains credulity.
We'll
I think
deal
in
with
that
the
case-
radiation later. Whatever happens from the radiation will be easier to deal with than whatever we allow them to create.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the situation of this quarter of the states. Fuck it. We don't need it.
That's just uninhabitable. Guess
Yeah.
what, guys? She's gone.
So
Hey, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia.
as far as narrative goes, just hand waving it all off as some sort of mass hunter, because I mean, to be fair, hunters in World of Darkness are supposed to suppress knowledge of the supernatural to the public, and so passing it off as this like massive joint conspiracy between hunter cells and, I mean, conspiracy also describes a very large hunter cell. Between hunter cells to suppress knowledge of any local supernatural events, either if possible play them off as parahumans, if not possible eliminate it and then just delete the file and make sure it gets lost in the system.
I think in that case, I will go with a second Shadow Inquisition that has formed basically out of NATO, and obviously, I'm not really going to go past the NATO countries for a long, long time. But that'll be why in the Western world, at least, there isn't really general acceptance.
You also have to keep in mind that you can actually get away with ignoring most of the world because global news is more or less shut down in Worm. There's really not a lot of cross-continental news, as far as I'm aware, going on in Worm.
Pretty much the only thing that actually does cross-continental news is like the Empire and whatever the Empire's...
Gesellschaft giving the Empire money. And even that wasn't really known until nearly the halfway point, end point of the story. And mid end of the story. Then again, U.S. government lets the machine army exist along with Nilbog. The problem with letting Nilbog exist is that right now, trying to kill Nilbog is worth less than letting Nilbog live contained inside a wall. Because the U.S. government doesn't know how small Nilbog can make his creations. Because they are a biological nature, and so for all they know, nuking the whole place will just cause a bunch of, basically orc spores to go scattered into the atmosphere, and then there's goblins fucking everywhere. They don't know that, and right now, Nilbog's contained. Yeah.
Nilbog's not stupid, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
When Taylor canonically finds Nilbog, he's what? 100 feet underground in a dark little room?
Yeah.
Like, he is way below nuke range.
Well, not really. It's just the problem is that they wouldn't
Depends.
know.
Well, okay.
Below
Let me rephrase
airburst
that.
range? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Below the
they would
range
have
that
to
you
know that he's at that distance to actually hit him with the nuke when they drop it. But if they don't know he's at that distance, they probably won't target that location specifically, and they won't make it a Buster Bunker variant, because there is Bunker Buster nuclear bombs.
Right. I get that. Right, but my point is, the conventional nuclear device that they would drop would not reach and would not kill Nilbog, and then now you have a bunch of... Right?
Right. And the same thing goes for the machine army. The reason why they're not nuking the machine army is because they kind of want to save that as a last resort sort of scenario, because they really don't have anything to contain the machine army if they do in fact nuke them, and the machine army manages to live through that. So for everyone not aware, the machine army is basically a von Neumann Terminator situation, where it's a bunch of machines that can keep creating more of themselves, and then they also can evolve over time to become resistant to anything that can kill them by improving upon all of the technology they encounter. So say if they get hit by a nuclear bomb, they'll be able to start any that survive will be able to study the nuclear bomb and be able to make their own nuclear bombs, which is already a problem. And then they'll also be able to start manufacturing armor and electronics that will be immune to future nukes. And now you have a nuclear immune, nuclear powered, nuclear armed machine army. And that's obviously a problem. So it's sort of it actually kind of goes in with the theme of Worm, in where escalation is a thing. Where escalation in these two scenarios is in fact best kept at the absolute minimum, because it's going to be eternally escalating. That is just the problem at the end of the day, is both of these situations will escalate. And the best way to handle this is to make the escalation as minimal increments as physically possible, and so you can keep on going for the longest time possible in the hopes that one day you'll be able to come across a weapon that will be able to end the escalation in a single move without allowing for any future retaliation or recovery. So, surprisingly, in this scenario, Wildbow actually wrote the U.S. government as extremely competent, which is a massive departure from how he writes authority figures in every other scenario, which is to say extremely incompetent.
To be perfectly
Which
honest,
is
I imagine
more
that
accurate.
probably.
Is the original Tinker of the Machine Army alive or dead? He's dead. Which is why they're still milling about and not really advancing on the entire world in an unstoppable horde. Has there ever been a worm fic that had the nukes go off? Yes, there's been several worm fics that I've read that had the both Nilbog and the Machine Army nuked. And then the solutions were found with the powers that Taylor or the original character had that allowed them to clean up the situation after the nukes went off, wiping out a majority of the constructs.
Also, one other story where that happened. Slaughterhouse 9 got hunted down.
Yeah.
Riley released his Super Zombie Plague.
Yeah.
They nuke it. It doesn't work because the Slaughterhouse 9 just left zombie bombs everywhere they had visited. And the story at that point very quickly turned into, oh shit, is the whole new U.S. about to get carpet nuked? And then it died. So, hell of a way to end it.
That's indeed a cliffhanger, yeah.
I like to assume it went off and that final transmission just never got through, but that's just me. I think in that case, I'm going to play hard into the idea that a lot of the power players are either dead or asleep. Just because Zion hard counters even some of the antediluvians unless they're in their Gehenna mode. So you know, even an ascended mage probably
the problem. Scion hard counters everything because of one singular problem. Anything that does not deal in the concept of death is not attacking the right target.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything that deals with the concept of death, you could theoretically say that, death is stabbed into the avatar, but the avatar is an avatar. And conceptually, an avatar is a representation of the thing using the avatar. And so thus, because death was struck into the avatar, it was struck into the thing controlling it. Therefore, it dies. Therefore, Scion is defeated. The problem with Scion, as was expressly shown in the ending of Worm, is that he is not real. He's not a person. He's an avatar. He's a constructed super science humanoid construct. And that construct can be recreated infinitely as far as Scion is concerned. Obviously, there's a limit to how much energy they can spend on reconstructing the construct, but that's what the whole avatar problem is that it's only reconstructing a interactable construct. It's not reconstructing all the powers, it's just channeling the powers through the avatar. So there's actually not a lot of power lost every time you kill the avatar. And then the other problem is because it's the Space Whale's main hub, it learns every time you kill the avatar and is able to super science its way into not being killed by the same thing twice. So pretty much anything is going to be no-sold by Scion unless they're able to attack the entity controlling the humanoid construct.
So that would require someone to first understand that Zion is a construct.
Not
Not
really,
necessarily.
actually, especially if they're working off of conceptual basis, it would actually be the opposite. Because if they believe they are attacking Scion themselves when they attack Scion, the avatar, then conceptually they would be attacking Scion, the space
Gotcha.
whale.
So you've got to come at it from an angle he can't see.
Basically. And the Wildbone himself did say in a word of God, and while he did make a lot of word of gods, death of the author and all that, this is admittedly a useful word of God that you can use for your fan fiction. Scion is unaware of magic at the time of Worm. And any encounters with magic will take a, quote, decent amount of time for a living supercomputer to learn how to handle and then counter.
There's also the problem that he might
ultimately,
not consider magic.
Scion will both be able to learn, counter, and use magic once it's been used against him.
I was gonna say, realistically, the only thing I could think of that would cause Scion that would be a significant threat to him would be like the mystic eyes of death perception.
Yes.
Tentatively considering a Cain bomb, because the Mark of God, I think it's 7-fold damage you deal to Cain. I was thinking Cain could do the whole, use your uncreation beam on me. It's the only way you can beat me. Ha 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 ha. That happens, 7-fold damage procs. A huge swathe of Scion's main body gets sheared off.
Yes, yeah. Yes, stuff like that. That would be how you would counter it.
Yeah, well, and more
especially
importantly,
then, it wouldn't, because again, this actually relies more on the knowledge of the person fighting Scion, because again, conceptual stuff is about concepts, and if you know you're just attacking an avatar, if you're attacking them with literal death or like a retaliation sort of thing, the damage will only be done to the avatar if you know it's an avatar. But if you don't know it's the avatar, conceptually, to your mind and to the magic that's as far as it's concerned, you are attacking that, and conceptually, the avatar is the conduit of that creature.
I mean, honestly, with a lot of stuff like changelings, they might view the avatar as being more Scion than Scion's main body.
Yes, also possible.
Altered points of view. One other thing I wanted to do, and this is the last thing I'll bring up about this. I wanted to establish that certain capes no-sell magicals. Legend with his light speed reactions.
Yeah.
The Sleeper with his, so long as it's in range, I have unlimited reality warping. Ash Beast with his, I am a living fire and nothing can interact with or reach me. And Fierce Say, actually. Fierce Say's time looping energy blast. I wanted to make it a point that those blasts of energy are so intensely powerful, even powerful supernaturals can't take it. If
Alright,
I
fair
remember
enough.
correctly,
Yeah.
he charges up a blast that would wipe out the entire Indian subcontinent, as in the blast wave would wipe out the entire Indian subcontinent, not even the secondary effects of the
Yes.
blasts.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and that wasn't even his maximum level of charge. That's just what he thought was appropriate to destroy Behemoth.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I figured that, especially if he ends up in another plane of existence, Fierce would probably be capable of letting off attacks given time. That would be literally planet cracking.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Well, and you can also use him as a. Here's the thing: you could also use him as an interesting trump card for one of the more magical societies because they could accelerate his internal time
True. Yes.
to increase the rate at which he stored. Right? We have the
however,
man who can crack the
caveat-
subcontinent.
Caveat there is a significant number of the powers that people had in Worm were not biological in their bodies. A majority of the powers came directly through channeling via their avatar, via the pseudo avatar state.
Right, but the pseudo avatar would still right. It's still a charge that the thing gives to him based on the accumulation of time, and
Right, but
I doubt the shard would be smart enough to comprehend
the shards
the
are
fact that it has been
supercomputers.
magically accelerated. That's what I was about to finish. Magically accelerated.
It wouldn't understand how it's being accelerated. Obviously, a time-based shard would obviously know it's being accelerated.
Right.
It wouldn't understand the principles behind how it's being accelerated. At least initially. I would say using time-based powers on a time-based shard would definitely result in the shard understanding magic that is time-based a lot faster than, say, using time-based magic powers on, I don't know, Hookwolf's shard. Doesn't exactly link up. It's not exactly its area of expertise or understanding. That's the other important thing to think about when you're talking about all of these cape powers and shards and whatnot, is that these are all supercomputers. Supercomputers the size of the fucking moon. All operating on quantum mechanics supercomputer status. And their ability to comprehend and output solutions is literally beyond human ability to even think about. But they are supercomputers in the human understanding of them, in that they are extremely specifically specialized to do pretty much one thing and one thing alone, aside from their basic backline of data logging, and observation and recording, basically. They are specifically, as shards, designed to do one concept of super science. How that super science is applied is what's known as the categorization system that the PRT made up, but they are specifically designed to do one super science.
I can dig it. One last thing, and this is in the same story, but in my initial vampire story, which is what got me this commission, my whole big crux of the story was going to be that when Eden and Zion showed up, you had something called the blink. The blink is a period of like 15 minutes of time the whole world just forgot.
Okay.
The apocalypse happened in that 15 minutes of time. Every supernatural, everywhere, worldwide, teamed up to fight the entities.
Okay.
This went extraordinarily poorly and ended with Eden dead because she was already crippled by Cauldron, and Zion catatonic. This actually delays his arrival, and Vicaire, the first hero, never happens. But my final boss of that setting was going to be a demon who had possessed the corpse of Eden and devoured the souls of every single being that had died during the fight against the entities. And that was actually going to be a bad end story, where the only way to survive was to flee. And now you had an entity scale super demon rolling that chunk of the multiverse.
See,
doing as it
my only issue with all of that is, again, like I just finished outlining, is the problem is if all the supernaturals right upon the arrival of to Earth, all the supernaturals got together across every, you gotta keep in mind, across every timeline of every Earth that existed.
was just one.
Well, no, they arrived across every Earth.
No, I mean it was just the supernaturals of Earth whatever, the Hebrew letter that teamed up. They were the only ones that realized what was happening. As the rule goes, Earth Aleph has only a few superheroes.
But then the problem there though is that the whole reason why Cauldron even exists is because Eden crashed on Earth Gamma or whatever, and during the spreading of her powers, Contessa ended up with the Path to Victory shard.
So Contessa was from Earth Gamma?
Yes.
Okay, that is something I didn't understand. I had always assumed she had ended up there by dimensional shenanigans. I did not actually know
No,
she was a native.
she's actually native to the tribe that lived in the mountains of that area.
Oh, all right. That's actually a lot cooler than I thought.
And yeah, so it's actually a really cool story in terms of background, because basically she was there, Eden crashed, she went to go investigate, and she got the power of victory, and she's like, oh, what the hell is this creature? How do I defeat it? And she's like, oh, I need to pick up this dagger and stab it. And as she's stabbing it, Eden was like, bada bing, bada boom. You can't fight entities.
Yeah, her last act being to try to protect her partner.
Yeah.
And isn't the whole thing that Eden's not really dead? Her connection or boot process was interrupted, and now she's just brain dead.
It was short. The best way to put it would be more like a psychic backlash. Of the avatar wasn't fully formed, Eden was already bleeding out because she had collided with one of the Earths on entry, and was not doing too hot, and her avatar was hosting what remained of her active consciousness or some shit, and then because Contessa stabbed that to death, quote unquote, it really fucked up Eden to the point where her shards were more or less like parasites on a corpse rather than actual shards that were able to think and operate normally. Because even Cavalier, the person who can see shards, describes shards from Eden's corpse, the ones that Cauldron distributes, as dead puppets. More than an active thing. So it's sort of like
the third entity. Hadn't he also didn't he also take some of Eden's shards?
No, willingly. So basically, Scion and Eden had in their travels to Earth encountered a third entity, Abaddon, as we know him. And Abaddon said, hey, Eden, I got this really neat shard. I will give it to you in exchange for data and some other less important shards. And so Eden smashed into Abaddon, as you do, as an interdimensional space whale. And they exchanged shards like that. And then supposedly Eden was transfixed by the new shard that Abaddon had given her, and ended up not seeing the planet in front of her and just blasted right into the thing. Somehow.
As you
I
do.
guess don't text and drive, I guess.
Don't get new shards and drive.
More like don't jack off the porn and drive.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, because I was aware of Abaddon in the general sense, and I was aware that Eden had crash landed onto a planet, but I think I had always, maybe this was just fan and I had integrated, was that Abaddon had actively played a role in weakening.
Yeah, no, it was all passive. We never heard about Abaddon again.
Gotcha. Because I have read Worm, but I've only read it once, and I've only read the start of Ward. So
yeah, I have read Worm, but this was back in 2012, and I only read Worm during my times waiting for the bus to pick me up for college. So I read it both extremely intermittently and barely paying attention to it half the time.
I read it through completely, because at the time I encountered it, my life story, ironically enough, synced up with Taylor's a lot. I just lost a woman who was
poor
like a mother
bastard.
to me
I'm
to
sorry.
cancer. Huh?
I said I am sorry for you, you poor bastard.
Yes.
Yeah.
For anyone who links up with Taylor's story, Jesus.
Yeah. Very severely bullied in school at the time. I just lost the woman who raised me like a mother to brain cancer. I had severely injured my knee during football about a year later. Playing football, blew my kneecap out. There was a whole bunch of other stuff going on, and so when I encountered it, it just spot on resonated with me. And
it's funny that Taylor
great.
also resonated with me to an extent. You know, whole shattered household, bullied thing and whatnot. But I actually had the opposite reaction to Taylor, in that I absolutely loathed Taylor. I hated her. And not because it's like, oh, it's like looking into your reflection and not liking what you see sort of hated. It was like looking into your reflection and seeing someone else in your exact same situation doing the exact everything wrong. And you just
I was
shouting at the movie screen, no, you idiot, don't go into the basement alone without a flashlight. It's a horror movie, you dipshit.
I understand that. I had a slightly different reaction. I was still in school at the time, and you know how things are when they just click with you. The movie Firestarter, of all of them, also really clicked with me because it like linked up with my life at that time.
Fair enough.
And it's an awful movie adaptation of a Stephen King novel. And it's
to be fair,
like,
there isn't much of a bar to go lower when it comes to a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, no. I read it through once. I read Ward. I got so disengaged with
fucking
Ward.
hell, Ward, man. Ward was such a disappointment.
I got bored. Everything was just so constantly miserable, and I was like, why do I even care anymore?
The main character is the rape victim of the character that everyone describes as a wooby. Okay. Also, they all have to fight in the Shadow Realm to keep their stands. Fucking
holy shit, are you saying Ward is a JoJo?
Ward is a JoJo reference, my dude.
JoJo Part 8.
A really bad one.
It's horrible.
I legitimately said to someone one time, I think it was on the SDM of someone who read Ward. No, maybe it was on no, I think it was on Shiro's server, that Ward was effectively Worm, but everyone's powers were a stand and they all fought into Yu-Gi-Oh! Shadow Realm.
That sounds disturbingly accurate.
Yeah. And someone was just like, I hate that this is accurately describing the story.
Yeah.
I know Wildbow wrote a bunch of stuff later on that was apparently way less grimdark, and I'm genuinely glad for that. But I don't think I have enough of an appetite for his stuff left.
Unfortunately, I've heard that his other story, Pact, I think it was, the one that came after Worm. I heard that it was fairly original and decently good. It's just, I have a problem with a lot of his writing style, and the only reason why I even read the entirety of Worm was sunk cost fallacy, and I literally had nothing better to do. Because, like I said, I read it while waiting for the boss at Spinner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and there were exactly 2 things to do at Spinner. Well, no, I'm sorry. There were 3 things you could do at Spinner: drugs, orgy, read books.
Yeah, pretty much.
1 out of 3 isn't so bad.
Yeah,
listen,
no,
Spinner
Ryugi's
was
comment,
not
yes.
a good place.
Yeah, Ryugi made a very potent comment about how Ward makes Taylor look like a very sane person in an insane world.
Shit.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Again, I read like the first 3 chapters of it, and I was like, this is not for me.
Oh, well, I mean, I actually never ended up reading Ward in, like, a consecutive manner. Like, I read snippets here and there, and I was just like, holy shit. I
haven't even bothered to touch it.
I tried reading Glowworm, which was supposed to be the interlude connection story between Worm and Ward, and I got as far as the fact that he retconned grab bag capes into being forced gay therapy.
Oh god, that thing.
That sounds absolutely and totally insane. Also, I know Circus is now transsexual or something.
Yes, Circus is now trans, yes.
Well, ain't that ironic?
Specifically, they're trans fluid. When they're a civilian, they're female, and when they're a villain, they're male. On Tuesdays.
The thing is, that could be done very well and very tastefully, and that could even make an excellent.
Wild Bow is an amazing example of the political left whenever they say the other side is racist. Because, like, literally, look at the villains, dude. Like, so many black people were villains.
Coil. You know, gotta kidnap those little girls. Gotta get them addicted to drugs.
Coil, Brian, Skidmark.
Also, the Empire 88 is objectively the least awful of the gangs in the whole city.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, the Nazis are actually right, and it's like, Wildbow, please stop.
Please stop. You're scaring the children.
Yes, that was only for grab bag capes. That's what I said. Grab bag capes were literally gay therapy. Yeah. It was.
Wait, is that whole kiss kill thing?
Yes, that was the whole kiss kill thing, where it didn't matter your previous sexual orientation. That if you became a grab bag cape, it didn't matter that you previously only liked women. If you were a guy and only liked women, and you got a grab bag cape with another dude, you now either had the urge to fuck them or kill them.
Well, here I go murdering again.
And it's just like,
be a great story.
What?
Yeah, imagine this. You gain superpowers, but it is psychologically compelling you to do something against your very nature. And, you know, the more you use it, the more you interact.
No, absolutely. I agree with that part. But, like, it was just thrown in there as like oh yeah, by the way, grab bag capes are likely gay or murderers. And it's like,
well, no, I mean, theoretically, it should only apply specifically to that batch of.
Well, it's per each batch, yes, and technically speaking, you could end up with a guy and a girl, and them and them having the fuck response to
The
each
old-
Doesn't
other.
do worm. It has to go
Horizontal
to work.
thing.
Well, no, but like I'm saying, like theoretically, shouldn't it only affect like, okay, grab bag cape, two guys, right? Shouldn't the reaction, whether it's option 1 or option 2, shouldn't it only apply to their interactions with that specific individual?
Yes, it does. But that my more or less problem with that is that it's there in the first place. I'm
Look,
not.
I agree with you that it's bad, but here's the thing.
No,
I would handle it the way that.
It's more because I've said in the past, like, I'm whatever, they're gay, fine, I don't fucking care. My problem is more when it comes to narrative. You have what I like to term, like, basically imagine a bar, right? And you have the lower half of the bar being under narrative, too little narrative going on. You have the top of the bar being too much narrative going on. And then you have the yellow section where that's where you want to land. That's just the right amount of narrative without overwhelming the reader. Grab bag capes being forced into gay therapy is over narrative. It's too much. It's not needed for the story on top of everything else that's going on. If this was introduced as, like, in the first arc of Worm, and this is just like a core part of how this whole power scheme works, I would be like, all right.
In fact, that would have
fine.
been a great way to have us to make Emma a asshole without making her irredeemable.
That would be interesting. Taylor and Emma are grab bag capes, and they both have kill, even though they were best friends before. That would be cool. That would actually be interesting.
Or
but-
you could even go with they both have the love option, but like both of them are like
straight as hell.
No way in hell.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that would be interesting. That would add to the narrative. That would land you in the yellow section of world building. Interesting, cool. But the problem is that he added that in after the story was over, after he had written 10 books at a generous minimum. He had written 10 books, and in reality there was what? 16 arcs or something? 30 arcs?
Yeah.
33 arcs, I think it was, or something. Point being, effectively, an arc was a book, or maybe you could say 2 arcs to a book, so that still puts it at around 16 books. He had written 16 books, and then, in between writing the sequel, quote-unquote, series to it, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, gay therapy camps for everyone that's a grab bag. It's like, fucking what? You had 1 million words to tell us this before now, and you're only including it now that you've gotten popular?
Again, to defend Wildbow, my understanding is that a lot of his initial fans were very left-wing and basically bullied him.
Oh, yeah, no, he existed on servers, Discord servers, that were banning anything besides progressive opinions. Not even left-wing opinions, progressive opinions. That was the only opinion allowed on the server, and that's where he resided on Discord. So it's no surprise that he did it, but it doesn't mean that overtime window is like suddenly acceptable now. He went into over narrative. He added too much to the story with that little fucking interlude. And yeah, it was 10 books. He wrote 1 million words. Roughly for fantasy sci-fi books, the rough word count is between 80 to 100k words. Typically, you want to fit an arc, maybe an arc or at most 2 arcs per book.
Oh boy, my ping went to 5,000 for a minute there.
Don't worry, it's literally everyone just massively pinged. Because my ping just popped off as well.
Cool. Okay.
I do want to thank you guys. Family's coming home, Christmas time. I'm gonna have to go spend time with them. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
thank
no,
you for
man.
having me on.
Yeah. You come on
I
I
anytime.
would actually genuinely like to read the story and see how it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that too. But I always
Do
love
that.
it when we get all active authors on besides just Gray and I, because there's only so many times I can say, so Gray and I are writing a story and we're doing this. Because there's only so many stories we're writing, and I can only bring it up so many times. So the more often I can have an author on that I can go, this person's also writing a story, and this is what they're doing, and this is why I agree or disagree with them. That makes my job all that easier.
Speaking of Sneaky, your story,
Yeah.
right now titled "The Boy Who Lived." I'm just gonna start in book 7 of Harry Potter and just absolutely.
Whatever happens, dude, I don't care. I just want it to exist in this world.
Oh, hopefully it'll be fun. But again, yeah, thank you all, and y'all have a good night. And
All right,
maybe I'll
see
be
you,
back.
man. You have a good night. Have a Merry
Night.
Christmas and all that fucking stuff.
Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah.
So wait, there's
you
a
know,
Harry Potter story about Harry Potter
Yeah,
the Orc?
so basically Alvor on the SDM server came in and said, alright, fuckers, give me an idea for a story, and no one responded, so I was just like, Harry Potter is an orc! He's like, alright, fine.
Beautiful.
But yeah, so to summarize this absolute trash heap of an author in general here, so he has his OC walk up and just grab the drink that's obviously drugged from the gangsters and just drink it in front of him. He's like, smashes the glass on the ground. I wish I was making this up, by the way. He smashes the glass, and he's like, yeah, there were drugs in this drink.
oops.
I wish I was making this up. That is a direct fucking quote.
Oh, Sneaky, that reminds me of a meme I saw the other day. It's of like the apprentice alchemist making a death potion for the first time, and it fucking takes the ladle into the cauldron and takes a sip to taste test, and just dies.
Yeah. It was the best
Dumbass
potion he
twist.
ever made.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, smashes the glass on the ground. He's like, yeah, this is fucking drugged. If I were you, I'd leave now before I get horny.
What?
That
Oh,
would probably
And
be a
then-
better.
then
that
all
was
the-
Sneaky.
Then all the thugs are like, who the fuck are you, man? First off, she clearly wants to get some. She wouldn't club to a club otherwise. Second off, I paid a lot of money for those drugs. You're a fucking dumbass if you think she came to a club to get some. Second off, let her go. Or what? Oh, of course you'd ask, or what? And then he face-palmed at their antics.
Anyway, so wrapping this show up.
So basically then he beats them all up.
Mm-hmm.
Riveting.
And then he walks over to Junior and picks up his cheap-ass, flavorless whiskey and downs it all in one go, having kicked the shit out of 6 people in the middle of a bar. And he turns to Junior and goes, so how much do I owe you? And Junior says, oh my god, man. I'm just so scared right now. It's on the house. He was clearly terrified of the man and just gave it to him for free.
Yeah, I don't think the author intended to be quite as sultry as you put it
but
there,
not
Sneaky.
for me.
Curious if this author actually watched the same yellow trailer that I did.
God, I fucking wish. Speaking of watching people, I wish we were popular. By the way, I'm a talkative drunk, in case you haven't noticed. I have drunk 3/4 of this 1-liter bottle of vodka.
Epic.
I wish we were popular because I would love for some of these authors to see me spending a whole 2 fucking hours just dumping on them.
Or ignoring them.
ignoring
as the
them.
guests
Or
do.
ignoring them and talking about way more interesting things than anything they've written. Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Says a lot when Worm is more interesting.
Yeah, honestly, it
Yeah.
does actually a
Yeah,
little bit.
true.
So yeah, their ferret story is insanely boring. I just skimmed through it. It was so they're basically illiterate. As we saw with their original story, they're basically illiterate to start with. Then they tried actually including the whole animal understanding of the world, but the animal understanding of the world resulted in Miss Titty Sister to refer to Yang.
What?
Miss
Bruh.
Titty Sister.
Bruh.
And Ruby is Ranger Red Hood. Yeah, so like I said, they're fucking retarded or 13, possibly both.
Most likely both.
Most
Definitely
likely
both.
both. And so their author's note for this chapter is, so that's it. That's the first chapter of this story. I was a little hesitant to write
Can it be the last one?
Unfortunately, no. But a friend
Could've
of
been.
mine started writing a story in Remnant's time of need, and I was inspired to write my story based off of his story, including my OC as my VR chat personality.
Of all fucking things to base it off, your fucking VR chat OC. That has to be the saddest fucking thing I've heard today. It is only 3 a.m., but
And I will now drink to this because officially we have moved on from Tumblr OCs. We are now in the era of VR chat OCs.
May God have mercy on our souls.
Ugandan Knuckles. God damn it.
Ugandan Knuckles was a blessing compared to the horrors we have seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Truly.
had a fun time writing this for the past few days. Dude, it took you a few days to write 1,000 fucking words?
Bro.
That was only 1,000?
That was
Jesus
only
fuck.
1,000 words.
Is this person truly illiterate and can't even read a word?
I don't think that... I really hope. No, actually, you know what? They said VR chat, which means they probably own a VR headset, which means they probably live in a first world country with their parents having money, which probably places them as English first language, judging by their illiteracy, which means they're probably a product of the U.S. educational system at the ripe age of too young, which I say is 13. Because 13's around the age where you really discover how funny saying the word fucking is. Because by God almighty, does he put that word everywhere in this story.
Might even say fucking everywhere.
You might even say
that.
Fucking everywhere, indeed. I didn't feel that. I am that drunk. I was away with a headset for a minute, and it was 32 arcs. Sneaky, it was closer to 20 books at 2. Oh, it was 2.3 million words? Oh, fucking hell, was it really 2? Oh, shit, it was 2.3. Holy shit, it was 20 books at minimum. Oh, fuck. Anyway, that
What?
kind of just strengthens my point that Worm was 20 books minimum.
Anyway, moving on
He wrote
and
20
going
books and
home.
he still can't write.
Yeah. So I think everyone's satisfied with ending it here for the night, unless you guys want me to like find like the Naruto
No,
section,
no,
the
no,
DxD
no,
section.
no,
we can go.
no,
We can
no,
go. We
no,
can just go find another
no.
DxD.
Yeah, you know what?
No,
You
it's
know, actually,
8:30.
sure,
Just, like,
Sneaky. You know what?
meander
Yeah.
into the
No,
DxD
I'm going to dinner.
section.
I'm getting dinner. Like we are 30 minutes over my
You can
paycheck.
leave, be gone.
That's fine.
Let's go
I
to the
still
DxD section,
have
Sneaky.
a whole fourth of vodka left. I mean, I can keep going.
Yeah, I haven't been dipping into my cider at all. So
All
I
right,
should probably get that.
you drunks have fun. I am out.
There's probably
Jay,
that.
chat, do you guys want us to keep going? Chat, do you want us to keep going?
Does Bell and Isley want us to keep
Nikki,
going? Well, geez,
This is the internet.
fucking
You
wonder.
don't ask the internet for anything.
Isley says do it. I mean, can we get some second opinions on this?
I'm sorry, since when do you listen to Isley?
I don't listen to Isley, which is why I asked for a second opinion.
Arn, your opinion never counts. I don't know why you're
Pedro
throwing your
says
2 cents.
DxD cross.
Trolling.
Arn, fuck off. I'll ban you from my chat.
No, you won't. I'm too funny.
Aura says go for it.
Oh,
Underplate
no.
says
Arn,
gas,
you
gas,
are
gas.
not funny. I'm sorry to be the one to inform you.
Alright, let's fucking go, gentlemen!
Jesus Christ. You have
I-
fun with that. Careful not to black out.
Dude,
gonna
I'm
go, 'cause I
only
still got work in
drinking
the
a
morning.
He's
liter
gonna
of
drink
vodka. That is
carefully.
nowhere near my blackout limit.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I am confident that a liter of vodka will very quickly turn into 2 liters of something else.
No, see,
Well-
that would... No, see, this is the key part, Max, is I only have a liter of vodka in front of me. Going upstairs to acquire more alcohol would require me to go upstairs. Which
That's
I
not gonna happen.
functionally probably cannot manage in a cohesive fashion at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'm still leaving, just don't go climbing the stairs then.
We'll
I
see.
can do that. Where the
We've had
fuck is
so many
DxD?
people.
I'm in
It's in
the
the
anime
high
manga
eight.
section.
Should be at the
It's in
top.
the H.
Oh yeah, high school
What?
DxD.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna just go piss real quick, so I'm gonna be right back. Give me 2 minutes.
High school DxD. High school DxD. Wow, only 5,000 stories for this section? I'm actually kind of surprised. Maybe everyone's too busy jacking off.
3.3 in English.
Yeah, 3.3 in English, which is actually a shocking amount only in English. Like, a whole 3,000 stories are actually in... Sorry, 2,000 stories are actually in non-English language?
That first one. The
That's like a good 40% of the stories are just in non-English. It's really impressive. First one, let's see,
Chapter
Double
to word
Trouble.
count.
Oh. Double Trouble. Our hero, Steve, is reincarnated with the abilities of 3 fictional characters. But what happens when Joe, a man who only cares about his harem, is reincarnated as the gamer at the same time? Watch the difference result in a rivalry while antics ensue all around. So,
The updated publish. Jesus Christ.
published on December 20th, updated
That was
today.
yesterday.
Yes. I mean, hey, 3,000 words in one day it's alright.
It's alright, but at the same time, it's 750 a chapter roughly-ish.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. I'm not saying it's okay by how they broke it down. I'm saying if they had put that out in one day, it'd be an alright chapter. A whole 3,500 words. That's not bad that's actually an average chapter size, all things considered, with about 80k being an average story length and about 30-ish chapters being an average book length. That, puts it at around like 2.3-ish k words per chapter.
Yeah.
So, it's understandable if you're putting out 3k words per chapter and you're doing that at a reliable rate of, I mean, admittedly fan fiction, so you gotta caveat that a bit. Reliable rate of like one chapter per week, 3,000 words. It's like, all right, man. You're doing a chapter per week. That's pretty good. And the people that do more per week, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But if you're putting out 750 word chapters, it's like, dude, just and it's not like, oh, I'm doing this in my spare time. It's gonna be weeks in between each chapter update, and I'm only gonna be able to get out a little bit. Still, even then, I personally think that you should just wait until you got a meatier chapter. But if in the span of a single day you update 4 fucking times, just make it a single chapter, my dude.
Yeah.
Like, I could even understand updating once per day with a 1k word chapter. I could be like, okay, fine. But you are updating in the span of 24 hours 4 chapters that are 1k long each. It's like, just wait. You're not gonna, you're not gonna game the algorithm any more than you're currently gaming it by updating
The
4
fucking
times a day.
algorithm.
Especially in the DXD section, you're not gonna game the algorithm that way. If you had put out a 3k chapter every day instead, you would be gaming the algorithm so much more than 4 chapters in a day. It's like, I'm sorry, man, but the DXD section doesn't update that much. It's got 5,000 stories. More, if I put the filter on of stories that have updated in the past 6 months, stories that have updated in the past 6 months, 379 stories have updated in the past month. You don't have competition in this section. If you update your story, you're going to be sitting on that front page for, let's see
A
here.
while.
December 17th. It's nearly 4 days ago on the front. You were on the front page for a whole 4 fucking days.
Amazing.
That's a very
Wait,
slow
what the fuck is the
update.
top one on page 2, Sneaky? Eesh.
It's all capital.
Oh.
Yeah. Top
Oh.
story on page
Oh.
2.
Wow.
I mean, you
No.
kinda gotta. Come on. You know you wanna do it?
No.
Is he drinking more? Probably drinking more.
Oh, I'm
Curious, bro, I'll drink to
absolutely
that.
drinking more.
Yeah. Because whenever you go quiet for a bit, that's the reason.
The ultimate power of a gamer fic should be aggressively saying the N-word.
Yep.
Honestly, I think peak comedy, maybe not peak comedy, but comedy, would be saying the N-word in a story, and then immediately, if it's a gamer fic, of course, and then immediately the gamer system gives you the ability of taunt.
Yeah.
That would be funny as fuck.
Someone should do that.
I will never touch that section.
I still find it hilarious that I genuinely got away with calling a black person the hard R because I caveated it with, I am talking to a bunch of white supremacists.
Yep.
I'm just like, no, I can't believe I got away with that.
Well, you know, sometimes the forbidden fruit is the tastiest.
I'm worried by this story extremely.
Please don't.
I am extremely worried by this story. I am extremely worried by this story.
Haram.
That's 6,000 words per chapter, boys. It's actually about 5,000 words per chapter, actually. Why am I
Roughly,
eating my
yeah.
mic? Pedro, why don't you look at the fucking screen?
Open your eyes.
Why don't you look at these stats, Pedro?
Why?
Yeah, that's like completely gone, Sneaky. Can't hear that at all.
What
Yeah,
would
but they
cause
can.
this hell?
They can
Yeah,
hear it.
They can. You know what?
They
That's
can
fair.
hear it. Yeah.
Fuck them all.
I feel violated by having to read this.
And there he finally figures it out.
What? You drink, Sneaky? Well, I don't know. I have to fucking deal with this shit every fucking night. Well, not every fucking night, but you know.
2 times a week.
Whenever I remember it. What's your writing? That was the funniest question, by the way, is in our GDP server. Which I love that's actually what our acronym comes out to. In our GDP server, someone's like, "What's your writing process?" Well, I first take a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love drugs and nicotine.
Step 1, mind-altering drugs. Step 2, type words.
Step 3, send it over to an editor.
I didn't see the characters. Yeah, Step 3, wait for the beta. Step 4, beta never comes. Step 5, drink more.
Step 6, still wait for editor.
Step 7, post it anyway.
Suicide.
Post it anyway. Step 8, get actual editing from the readers.
Get better beta reading from the fucking readers than from your beta. Woo!
Truly.
I'm doing things I will absolutely regret. And that is reading ahead in the Cinderella Man story.
Why?
Because I want to see how bad it gets.
That's fair. Now, I will say, everyone should DM me.
Poor Finnish man.
So, Orpheus is writing a story where I am actually the source of Ruby's soul. So it's not so much as I'm isekai'd, but it's so much that I've died way in the past. My soul's been, recycled for who knows how long, or maybe my soul was just re-entering the cycle.
Hey, what the fuck? This man put a star in the story? What?
What?
I didn't know you could do that. He's put a fucking star in the text.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's actually pretty easy if you can figure out how to put the star in.
I think it's just Unicode.
Alright, so
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
the
just
point being is
Unicode.
that, so Orpheus is writing a story where after Ruby gains extreme head trauma, I, as the soul of Ruby, wake up and am now interacting with Ruby and more or less can control the body. And we thought this was funny for multiple reasons. Because one, it implies that Ruby is in fact a reincarnation of me, and I'm not isekai'd. Two, it's funny. Because
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah, it's me, and I honestly, I'm kind of asexual, to be real. It's come out. I'm
Wow.
a little bit. I mean, I'm straight. I'm
surprising
straight, but asexual, basically. I just don't like
The
gay
most
shit.
expensive Pedro.
It's like, basically, you don't want to fuck, but if you had to fuck, you would only fuck women.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's like, just show me a dick, I'm just like, oh, fuck. Show me a vagina, I'm still like, oh, fuck. But I'm like, it's for a different reason.
Yeah.
Spiteful. No, 100% spiteful. So basically, what I'm trying to say is I need ideas for shit I would do. Because, as I said before, I am a nexus of chaos. I will literally do the most trollish thing possible. Like, Ozpin pulls me aside. Like, the whole episode 1 where Ruby's at a gun shop at midnight. Which, let me just say, is incredibly suspicious. Who the fuck goes to a gun shop at midnight, first off? Like, okay, that's a little weird. But...
I mean, that's kind of based if the gun shop is open at midnight, though.
Oh, no, 100% I agree with that. But I was just telling Orf, I'm like, no, I'd still be at that gun shop. I'd be at that gun shop, however, for trying to replace all the dust I used for IED experiments and bullet configurations.
Based.
And then me trying to cover up the fact that I'm making IEDs. And so I buy the dust to replace the dust I used. And, like, I'm doing this at midnight to cut, like, at nighttime, be, like, filling the dust reservoirs in the house, being like, fucking nobody notices. And so, I need ideas for for just chaos I can inflict. Because I really don't remember Ruby all that well. And I don't really feel like looking up Ruby logic all that well. But if anyone can say anything that'd be like, oh, that would be super funny for me to do, I would do it. Because I can just tell Orf I would do it.
Yep.
Like, Ozpin sitting down with me and me just being like, yo, Ozpin. Or should I call you Osmandius? Or do you go by Ozma? Do you believe in reincarnation? Because boy, do I have a story for you!
I'm willing to suffer through Ruby again, just so that I can give you scenes.
We're gonna massively derail it, because we've already changed it, where in Chapter 1, Ruby gets her head hit, she wakes up, and I'm just like, no. We are not doing this retarded ass sniper scythe bullshit. We're doing shotguns with ice picks on them. We're gonna be sensible about it. And then Orf messages me back with, just randomly, out of the blue, like, it's been months since I told him we're doing shotguns, like, 4-gauge shotgun with a ice pick on the end of it.
Yeah.
And he just messaged me like 2 days ago with, so, do you want me to call it the Trotsky special? I'm like, fucking yes, I do!
I speak the back of the skull.
Cheap vodka, 43%. Cheers, lads. I can drink to that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Ozpin pressures you into joining a school, so you go out of your way to make him regret everything. Yes, so as we're calling it, the Snooby story as it was, is literally the caption, I am alive, and I will make it everyone else's problem.
Yep.
And part of, so, we've canonized that Ruby's semblance lets her split into rose petals, and so the addendum to that is that we're adding the addendum of Ruby's semblance lets her split into rose petals, and she can split into both Ruby and Snooby, as we're calling her.
Oh god.
Snooby being Sneaky Ruby. So we're
Yeah.
effectively going to have that. What was that artist that drew the Ruby that smoked and drank?
Yeah, I know the
I
one.
know exactly what you're talking about. But I
Everyone
have
knows
no
the
idea.
one, but I can't think of the name right now because I'm pretty drunk. I'm not gonna say I'm
Feeling-
blitzed because I am nowhere near blitzed, but I'm nowhere near buzzed. I'm not feeling it. I am feeling it, Mr. Krabs.
Hell yeah.
I don't feel too good, Mr. Krabs.
But anyway, I am drunk. I will solidly say I am drunk. Words are hard to focus on. I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's go find a DXD story to laugh at.
Yes. Oh god, I see in the middle of the page currently.
Yeah.
Gamer of Cool. That's a familiar
Yeah,
face.
gamer of that's a. If I
Ultra
could, if
Kurama?
I could do a keyword search and eliminate gamer stories from the DXD section, I feel like that would cull at least half of the stories.
Oh yeah, it's probably like fucking completely empty.
Oh yeah, CS Lucario, yes, yeah. CS Lucario, yes, yeah, that dude. That's basically what's gonna come out to be. Is basically Ruby's gonna split into rose petals and then form into two rubies, and one ruby is gonna be Ruby, and the other ruby is gonna be me. And I'm just gonna be like, fuck y'all, let's go. Nexus of Chaos time. Time to turn this into a D&D story. Old Man Henderson is my spirit animal, and I'm about to make sure everyone knows it. Pedro,
He's
look,
trying
so the
to
thing is that
convince everyone else
Pedro,
that you're really nice.
Oh no, I don't even need to do that. Look, so like, the thing is that what people really underestimate about me is that I can be really nice when I need to be. I can be really charismatic when I need to be. But the thing is that I exist via
You don't often need to
apathy.
be.
Yes, I exist via apathy. And if I have a portion of my soul that is already willing to be this gung-ho, chippy, cheerful, happy person, and I can just go and be my gremlin-ass self, like fuck am I gonna be... so I'm still probably gonna be charismatic, because that's all I got going for me, but I am still gonna be that fucking gremlin that's just gonna sit there, smoke, drink, and be like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Oh god. Now I just had the mental image of like a chibi Ruby, but voiced by Gura, but with your attitude. And it's a pretty blessed mental image, not gonna lie.
That's a yes. A Ruby voiced by Gura.
Yeah, just like whenever I hear the word gremlin, I just think of Gura because she is like the personification of gremlin in my head.
That's fair. Because she
Yeah.
is.
Exactly.
She's an absolute gremlin. Like even the wholesome, that was a wholesome as hell 3D stream, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was fucking great.
But like Gura was just
Mm.
Gura was still a gremlin. Even while being wholesome, she was an absolute gremlin.
That's what she does best. Exactly, Aura. That's the point.
Blurst, yes. Quite.
Indeed.
But yeah, so if you guys have ever looked up a 4-gauge shotgun, so a 4-gauge shotgun could, in theory, use 50 cal rounds.
Well, no, that's normal 12 gauge.
No, that's 4-gauge.
No, that's normal 12 gauge. That's how the meme goes. If God didn't want me to put 50 BMG in a 12 gauge shotgun, he wouldn't have made the diameters match.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. It's literally just a normal 12 gauge.
So anyway, we're using 4-gauge pump shotguns, which, for those who are historically unaware, is better known as the trench shotgun from World War One. Also known as the one
war
gun
crime.
that Germany went to the world and said, okay guys, I know we started this war, but can we call this thing a fucking war crime? And
Yeah.
the US responded with, call it a war crime, we're still winning!
Yep. That's the
Who's
French skill for
gonna
you.
fucking put us on trial, bitch?
Yeah. Call the League of Nations. Oh wait, who cares?
Call the League of Nations! Oh wait, they are the League of Nations!
Oh shit.
Fuck.
90% of the time I've drank straight shots, so that's what I'm used to. I mean, like, that's the only way really to drink alcohol. I'm not a big fan of mixed drinks. Gonna be real, hot take here. Not a huge fan of mixed drinks.
Damn. Well, I mean, I'm gonna disagree for the simple fact that with properly mixed drinks, you can drink way more. Like, at least for some people, because if I try to drink like several straight shots in a row, like I'm gonna get way more, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to drink as much.
Based American reply. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I can drink more if it's
No,
mixed.
and I
There's, like,
get
base
that.
here
Like,
alcohol
don't
and-
get me wrong, I get that.
Yeah.
But, alcohol, in my personal opinion, is for the sole purpose of getting drunk.
Yeah, I guess that's where the difference is primarily.
Yeah, and
Because for me, it's more of an
not,
enjoyment thing.
I'm not drinking alcohol to have a good time. Now, admittedly, that's a very convenient side effect that definitely gives support for alcohol. But I'm not drinking alcohol to have a good time. I'm drinking alcohol to be drunk.
Mm.
And so because of that, I'm not a huge fan of mixed drinks. More or less because they're very expensive. And trying to make them at home, you either get a really basic bitch mixed drink like, oh, it's rum and coke. Whoa.
Yeah.
Or, you fucking know, it's like, oh, I got some Kinder Dry, I'm gonna put some vodka or whiskey in it. Woo. You get very basic bitch mixed drinks, which is just you trying to water down the alcohol so you can drink, quote unquote, more. But
Right.
ultimately, It's just you trying to drink the same amount in a longer period of time.
I mean, yeah, that is also a side effect.
We don't have rum and Coke, we have rum and Pepsi.
No,
Fuck
Gray,
off,
that's
Gray.
that's the real war crime here. Like,
That's
fuck
the
Red
real-
guns,
I am
fuck
taking you
mustard
to The
gas.
Hague.
Yeah, you are going to the Netherlands.
Blame Badger.
I mean, he's also gonna be there.
Yeah.
Just not purely for that reason.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons for him
There
to
is
be
some
there.
times that I do wish I had my webcam on, because holy shit, am I drunk right now. And it is amazing that I have the self-awareness to know that my whole world spinning shouldn't be normal, but god damn is it convenient and nice to experience. Because I don't have to think about anything else, because I can't even form a coherent thought right now.
Excellent. What you should now do is go find a DxD story.
You know what? Fair enough. So, let's go with
Get a
this
small one
you
because
know,
it's 1 hour past.
Devils and Dungeons and Devils.
Jesus Christ.
Dungeons and Devils.
So long.
Enough stalling! Enough stalling! Let's get on to the show. Let's get into it. That's what you all came here for. You all came for me to be drinking
Fanfiction.
and reading fanfiction.
Yeah, well, Sneaky, you know what they say? Mystery loves company.
What the fuck? Dungeons and Devils!